Right, on to this week's Street Talk. Only 4 episodes of Coronation Street this week. Monday to Thursday, so we're getting a little bit of an earlier not really an early recording. Because I came home and played on my game for a little. Yeah, but... Pocopia. But I did put a timer on the Alexa for half an hour, and I pretty much stuck to it.
No, I had to intervene.
It's just too addictive. Well, so we didn't get a Friday episode because I don't even remember why. Rugby. I thought that there was a pretty solid week in Corrie this week. I think I gave a couple of bang-ins and a couple of bog standards when I was being a little bit harsh on the Wednesday episode actually. But there's this Carla baby story. I think literally my bangings were based on the fact that I enjoyed the Carla and Lisa and Connie stuff a hell of a lot more than I was expecting.
Yeah, and this is the thing, okay? And this always happens to me. I can never really tell whether I like something because I thought it was going to be bad and it wasn't, or if it actually is good. Because some things I go into going, I'm going to hate this so much, and I don't. And I'm sorry to say, I did not go into the baby storyline with high expectations.
Because it's a baby storyline. But not traditionally that exciting.
Historically really quite dull on Coronation Street. Also, babies don't interest me. Also, I don't have any kids, and so I strongly identify. Might be some alien hybrids somewhere. I strongly identify, as I'm sure mothers do with women who've had children on Coronation Street, with women who don't. And so when that gets disrupted, I find, it can be a bit personal. And I know that this is a really personal subject with lots of people, and it stirs up lots of really strong emotions in different people. And I never want anyone to think that I am actively cheering on things like baby loss or any kind of, you know what I mean? People get really weird ideas. If you say I identify with women who don't have children more than women who do, people get upset about it, but it's just a human reaction to things. And people have got really weird ways of extrapolating things from what you say that you never meant.
Well, I mean, my personal target for today's podcast is to say nothing controversial.
Oh, okay.
Because I did have some people... nobody was horrible to me about it, but I didn't have anybody saying, yes, you're right about those things that were very controversial that you said in last week's episode. So.
Like what?
What was I talking about last week? It wasn't the Rita thing, that was the week before, wasn't it? What was I even saying that was controversial? I can't even remember. See, I just say anything.
Think about it and I'll
just pop
explain myself further, because I think what happens to women who don't have kids is there'll be a story about a woman who doesn't have kids, and it will be like a big struggle for her, and then she gets rewarded with a kid at the end of it sometimes, okay? And that feels quite upsetting to somebody like me who doesn't have a kid, because you feel left out of something and you feel kind of like everyone kind of looks down on you, or like you're missing out on something, or people feel bad for you, and something that you know what I mean, you just feel belittled sometimes by these stories. Like the one that annoys me the most, and spoiler alert for Big Bang Theory, don't listen if you don't want to hear, at the end, whatever ditzy woman's name is, adamant she didn't want a kid, and then in the last episode changes her mind because of the power of babies. It gets a bit wearing, because you make a decision, and if you make the decision that you want a kid, nobody ever questions you again. But if you decide that you don't want a kid, or you can't have a kid for whatever reason, you're constantly challenged in that opinion by fiction, and it's very pervasive. And I completely understand why, because biologically we need people to have kids, and it is a human drive. Of course I understand that, but it's very difficult when you're watching something and you identify with somebody because they're like you, and then they suddenly change into something that they're not, that you're not. Yeah. And I don't want to say, again, I'm not saying anything bad about any situation that anyone's in. I'm just explaining how I feel, and I can't change the way I feel about things.
Right.
And so going into this storyline, I was thinking, what's going to happen here is that Carla's going to go, I missed out on this because, she wanted to have a termination, then she had a miscarriage, and and it's going to stir up a lot of problems, and she's going to regret things, and she's going to muse on her life and how she'd missed out on something. And I don't think that's happened yet. I'm not sure if it will do, but it does feel a bit like judging your, like, if you don't have a kid, it's like, you know, this is you. Look at
I think
you.
It's been
if you had an opportunity, yeah, I know, but you're okay, right?
No. I'm just saying. I think that there was the conversation when there were a few nice little sofa conversations with her and Lisa this week, where she did open up. Go on.
But they didn't make me feel like, oh, okay, you're basically saying my life's a waste of time.
No, you're absolutely
because a lot of the time, unfortunately, that's how it feels when people have a discussion. And I totally get that if you wanted a child, you didn't have an opportunity, and then you get a child, you would go, brilliant, my life is now how I wanted it to be, because before then I was in a desolate hole and I hated my life. But it feels too much like that feeling is kind of projected universally onto all childless women.
Yeah.
And Coronation Street's done a really good job of not showing that.
No, I mean, I don't agree with the people that are saying, oh, Connie, it's the child that Carla's always wanted.
Well, people said that about Betsy too.
Yeah, they did. And I Carla has not always wanted a child. But what I've really appreciated this week is that Carla did find it difficult at first, and she was like holding this baby and not having a clue what to do with it. There's been some really great little facial expressions from Ali King playing Carla this week, just like what on earth do I do here? But equally, when it does kind of click, like I think it was the scene with Mary, and there's just some lovely smiles, and it's, even though it's very quick, and you know, by yesterday's episode she was bouncing that thing all over the place and having a great old time, but it's still not felt like rushed and forced, and like you said, saying, well, I guess I was wrong all along not to want child, I am a perfect mum. And I think the fact that Connie seemingly so far is with them just for a temporary spell.
I don't think it will be temporary.
Well, I don't know. I've still got hopes it is, because I don't want a baby hanging around. But if it is temporary, then it's going to have a nice little time. And I think probably this is what Carla and Lisa needed at the moment. Just a stress-free, happy story.
I think they could have let the wedding happen before this, personally.
When I saw this was happening this week, I was kind of thinking, I'm not particularly ready for another Carla and Lisa story. We've just come off the back of one. We could have waited a little bit more for the wedding to happen. I mean, you know, I said in this year's predictions that I predicted that Mandy's baby would end up with Carla and Lisa, so I was very pleased about that, but I didn't think it would happen quite so soon. But yeah, I've found it very endearing, and as somebody who has usually got a heart of stone, yeah, I think everyone's done a really, really good job with it, actually.
And I know probably lots of people
not too heavy-handed.
are thinking, oh, it's not all about you, Gemma, shut up, who cares what you think? But I can only experience it through my lens of my life.
Yeah.
And I do try to step outside of it all the time. I'm constantly trying to think of how other people would view things and taking other people's opinions on board. But I think it's fair to talk about your own experiences, because that's how we all watch the show. And I know for a fact I'm not the only person who might be watching this trepidatiously thinking, is this just going to crap all over how my life is, you know?
Yeah, but not yet. I remember.
No, they're going to wait.
I remembered one of the controversial things that I heard last week was baby related.
I knew you were not listening to what I was saying, just thinking about what you.
No, it didn't take me too long. I was listening to you, honestly. Yeah, the thing about the why would anyone go visit the baby in hospital? Yeah, we had somebody. What do either of them get out of it?
We did talk to somebody, a listener, about that in person, didn't we? And she was laughing.
Yes. Oh, that was a lovely thing that we had this week, didn't we? We met one of our lovely listeners who lives nearby us. I won't name them because I don't know whether they want to be named, but
yeah, but it was really nice. We had a chat and we had a coffee, and it was really, really nice. Thank you very much
Starbucks.
for having a nice meeting with us. Yeah, and yeah.
Do you want to kick the discussion up to the next gear with a bit of clickbait?
Just to quickly say before we move on, about if you want to hear more controversial opinions about Coronation Street and their track record with children and women, I do go into a tiny bit in Dee Dee's character profile this week that we just did, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts. Just be nice.
Everyone's nice.
Just remember, I really try not to offend anybody, because this is such a personal and hurtful and upsetting topic for lots of people, not just women. But you know, it really does hit hard, and I know I did get kind of upset with like how carried away people were getting about the idea that they've completed their family, or you know, Carla needs a daughter, or she's always wanted Bets. You know, it kind of feels a bit like you're projecting something that you think onto a character without giving any thought to other people that might. You know,
well, I think some people say that who've only watching the show 6-12 months or since Lisa first battered her eyelashes at Carla.
It's really not. I totally get why you would say it, and it's very sweet. And I wish we lived in a world where like nothing you could ever say would upset anybody. It is really funny though that Carla came into this show designing children's clothing, because she seems like the person in the world who would care less what children would wear. I
wonder whether she kept any of it. Well, I can't remember what the kiddie clothing brand was called, but maybe she's got some in the attic and she'll bring it down.
This really like funny like Bob the Builder-esque drawing that she did, where she came up with this incredible concept, which was denim dungarees.
I don't remember.
For a toddler. Who would have thought it?
Right. Clickbait this week.
Also, she came in as a clothes designer herself, and she doesn't care about that.
No, she's got
she's got Nina.
Nina to do it, apparently.
Right, you want me to do the clickbait?
I would love you to do the clickbait, please. What have the rags been saying this week? No offence to any rag writers out there.
Manchester Evening News says,
"Love you really."
Coronation Street fans hail trio they didn't know they needed amid demand for more.
Oh, a trio that they didn't know they... Carla, Lisa and Connie?
Almost. That's what I thought they were talking about.
Oh, so I'm in the right ballpark.
Yeah, you are. You're in the right house.
Carla, Lisa and Sally?
Yes.
That was a great scene. I think we waited so long for Sally to poke her nose into her new neighbours, didn't we? And I think this is the second time now, and I've really loved it each time. It's always felt like the scene is over before it needed to be. I still need that dinner party so that they can have the awkward social expectations and somebody's going to put their foot in it, probably Tim, and that still needs to happen. But Sally coming round and just making a busybody herself with her new neighbours was absolute gold this week. Yeah. I knew I needed it, but apparently not everybody knew that from the Manchester Evening News.
Coronation Street's Tina O'Brien has surprise link to new arrivals on soap from Digital Spy.
Oh,
you would never guess this.
Well, I'm guessing that the surprise link may be that they trained in her acting school.
Wow, you got it.
Ah.
Well, no, they put the casting call out, and I think that the drama... Is it the Drama Mob or is it Drama MOB? But she co-founded this company.
Yeah.
And so they were the ones that
I don't know who we're talking about.
What do you mean?
Who are the new arrivals?
Who do you think?
Is it the Connies?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The Connie
Eva
twins.
and Erin.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Final one. Coronation Street viewers say it's gone too far as they make Todd and Theo demand. Liverpool Echo. I mean, I didn't really read this properly. I'm assuming it's...
I've just seen people being a bit mad that the stories come back again and when that was the thumbnail on, was it Thursday's episode, Wednesday, I can't remember, people are, oh no, not the Todd and Theo storyline again, it's too dark, it's too harrowing, it's too stressful. Is it just basically along those lines?
Yeah, like it's gone on too long. I don't like it.
I still don't think so. And when was it they're supposed to be getting married? It must just be a couple of weeks now. It was mid-March.
Well, it's the 23rd of March.
I don't remember. I'm not sure. But
or was it the 23rd of April?
23rd of April is the Swain wedding, but
25th of March, maybe.
I don't know.
Just say names. But just say dates.
It's interesting that since that flash forward episode, I don't think there's been any reference to their imminent nuptials at all, has there? It's almost like they've kind of forgotten about it. But I suppose that's the storyline's not been in it too much, so I'll let them
wasn't
off.
In a flash forward. It wasn't a flash forward scene when he mentioned it.
No. It was
because that would be a normal thing to do, to get to April and go, should we get married next March?
No,
and then you would say, less than a year. That's not enough time.
Excellent clickbait. Thank you very much, Jonathan, for sending it in. Let's crack on with synopsising and discussing what went on in Weatherfield this week. And I've got 6 stories for you. A couple of new storyline titles. You look quite like this first one, didn't you? The storyline title for Carla, Lisa and the Baby. At first I was going to go with 3 Women and a Baby in reference to the classic 80s film.
There's a ghost in that film.
Is there?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen it. I think I saw a Little Lady.
Debunked. Really? I used to love all those films. Look Who's Talking.
Yeah, Look Who's Talking was good. Anyway, this storyline title is called, and here's a maybe Corrie reference for you. Oh, don't believe me, I will say it in the way. Yeah. Swain Ward! Swain Ward.
You
like
won't get that
Shane Ward.
unless you have been immersed
and
in
Connie
British
is
culture.
the ward of the Swains and Connor.
Well, not really though. She's a Connor ward, isn't she?
Doesn't matter. That doesn't make sense as a storyline pun. We have got the Twisted Sister story coming up next, which is Jodie. Of course, it was the big operation for Harper on Wednesday.
What's Mandy's surname? Because it's the baby will be Connie.
I don't know.
Connie Mandy, won't it?
I don't remember. I'm
Not
sure
Connie,
we can find out easily enough on Coropedia.
Connor.
We have got the morning suit storyline coming next, and it looks like Annie is still very much gunning for George by the end of this week, even though the police are no longer following up their inquiries on him. Annie is determined to get that money back. We have got a bit more of the Mama in the Slammer story with poor old Debbie and Lou, and then at last we have got confirmation of the rumours, news that's been circulating around the internet for the past month and a half. Jim is no more. Jim McDonald, alas R.I.P.
He's dead, Jim.
He's dead, Jim, is the storyline title, and that is a Star Trek reference. And I don't even like Star Trek, but I know of it.
You don't not like Star Trek, you just have never seen it.
I've seen bits of it. I think I'd probably get obsessed by it, which is why I'm...
This is the most hilarious thing about you, is that you refuse to watch Star Trek in case you get obsessed with it. And I tell you what...
Well, you know what I'm like.
I am a bit glad, to be honest with you, because when I was younger, I remember watching Next Generation when it came out. Yeah, that's how old I am. And I loved it so much. I thought it was brilliant. And then they started, Deep Space Nine. And then once I moved out of my parents' house, I didn't have Sky News anymore because I was poor. And so I kind of... And then they stopped making Star Trek for a bit. And then they had the movies come out. And then everyone got interested. Now they've got a million of new ones. And if you were into Star Trek, we'd have to watch all of them. But I think they're a bit of a slog.
That's why it's a good job I'm not into the MCU as well, isn't it? We'd never...
Yeah, but I like that.
I don't actually know what He's Dead Jim... Is it? Did somebody just say it once? Or is this a catchphrase of a certain character? I just know it's a thing.
What? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
No,
you
don't need to know.
It's just it was. I pretty sure it was Spock. I can't remember.
Who is Jim?
Jim Kirk.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, James Kirk.
I can't remember whether
somebody
it was
telling Captain Kirk that somebody
Spock.
was dead.
I think maybe it was from a film. I can't remember one of the movies.
Okay.
Maybe Spock was dead. I can't remember.
But He's Dead Jim is the storyline title for the story of Dead Jim. And then we had a little bit this week of Mal à la tête. Still not recovered. I assume he's still in ICU at the moment because I don't think we've heard anything about that since Monday. What should we do? Do you want me to do the Swain Ward one? Do you want to do it? How are you feeling?
Me, I don't care.
I am going to let you do this one, I'm going to say. So, Swain Ward, Gemma, what happened this week? Number 6, Coronation Street.
Do you think that Connie is just called Connie, or do you think it's short for Constance or something?
I don't know. I mean, I wonder where was the unimaginativeness. Was it her or was it the writers? Because I'm kind of imagining... Mandy. I'm kind of imagining that Mandy called her Connie as a reference to her... No, it's not, because he's Rob Donovan, isn't he? So we've got...
Oh, yeah.
So
we could... Connie Donovan?
Connie Donovan.
No, I think
that's got quite a ring to it. But if Carla ends up adopting her and she becomes Connie Connor, I don't like the sound of that.
Yeah, but it should be Connor-Swain. Or Swain Connor.
Connor-Swain, thank you.
Why?
Carla's got the legacy here.
If I was getting okay, I don't know if this would ever work or if this would just complicate everything and nobody would know what the hell was going on, but I kind of would think it would be brilliant if you ever wanted to hyphenate your name, and I did as well, and I had my name first and you had your name first, but we both had hyphenated surnames.
I know, I have considered that in the past.
Well, you don't get to have my name. You rejected it. No, you won't. I've just googled this and it says it's commonly a short name for Constance, but it could also be Cornelia, or Conchita, or Constantine, or Caroline.
Who knew?
Caroline Connor.
Well, we just need to wait for her to get married and then we'll find out. What went on this week, Gemma?
Just given up completely. Can you find out what Mandy's surname is, please?
Dingle.
Connie Dingle.
Corriedale's crossover strikes again.
Right, so everyone's fine at the Connor-Swains until the doorbell goes and Carla answers the door and there's a baby on the doorstep in a little...
Mandy
Connie Waring?
Yeah.
Connie Waring what?
Cute little baby grow.
She's very cute.
This was like the doorstop scene was just classic fiction, wasn't it? How many stories have there been of characters opening the front door and then looking down, the camera's positioned down there, and you get to see right up their noses.
Yeah, it wasn't quite baby POV, was it? But it was kind of, Carla looks down into the camera. Well, not really, but...
There haven't been too many times that this has happened in Coronation Street in the past. The only one that I can think of is when Jason's...
Oh, yeah.
Well, which was
Holly.
actually Charlie Stubbs' Holly baby turned up. But even then, the mum brought the baby and passed her over to Eileen. I don't know whether there's actually been a literal doorstep dump like this has before, which is a really...
Yeah, it wasn't really quite...
Although it wasn't a proper dump, was it? It was just the woman was across the road.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Oh, sorry.
It wasn't an actual baby dump because she was just like... For some reason, she was like, oh, God, got so much stuff to carry. I'll just put the baby down.
Yeah.
And then ring the doorbell and run away.
I'm sure they'll understand. I'm sure they'll be slow to answer the door and I'll be able to get back in time to explain what on earth is going on.
Carla's like, the delivery man's messed up again. Got the wrong delivery.
It's like, sorry, we didn't have any prime rib beef for your lunch. With this, we've got a replacement.
It's one of these
substitutions. It's a baby. Will this do?
There's loads of these just lying around in the supermarket. Now, Carla rocks the cradle a bit nervously and goes, hello, who are you? And then Lisa just comes out and sees this woman is unpacking the car and goes over and goes, excuse me, is this your baby? You can't just... I mean, you're littering now, aren't you? This is a fine. Mm. What would you do if you opened the door and there's a baby? I'd be like, Michael, what is this? Why is a baby here?
Yeah, ain't mine.
Because it's not mine.
I literally don't know.
I'd be quite excited.
I mean,
because I'd be like, this isn't going to long time affect me. But
give us something else to do for a bit.
Yeah, they're quite cute. They're just really smelly, and the upkeep's insane.
Sometimes babies are cute, and I will say this is one of them.
I don't like that. But if I had to look after a baby, like an abandoned baby, for like 3 hours, mind you, the woman next door is a social worker, so I would just ring the doorbell and go, help.
Well, like I said last week on the podcast, nappy changing is not my forte, and neither is it yours. In fact, we have never experienced it in our life. Can a baby go 3 hours without us having to change its nappy? I
would be so sick. I think what would I do? Just put it in the sink with no nappy
Swish it around a bit.
And then whenever something had happened, just rinse it.
I don't know. We just chuck it in Abby's litter tray and let nature take its course. And that's why nobody should ever dump their baby on our doorstep.
No, give it a go. I tell you what, though, every so often you get an abandoned dog, don't you, or a loose dog, a stray dog. I've had stray dogs. I've picked up a stray in the street. I can tell the dog is lost, so I bring it into my house. That's happened a few times, and it's my favourite thing in the whole world. I love it so much.
I don't think I've ever experienced that joy. We did have that ferret walk into Rachel's house one time.
Yeah, we did, and we had to take custody of the ferret.
Yeah, it came in through the back door. We were in the lounge. I was like, what are you doing here then?
Yeah, and so I had to put it in a box, and it was very, very cute.
Talking of smelly deliveries.
I do see why people love ferrets, but they are very smelly. You can't do anything about it. But it loved ham, didn't it?
Yeah, we called it Ham the ferret.
Yeah, we called it Ham. See, this baby, they could have called it Milk.
Like 20 years ago. Yes.
Because it loves milk.
I really loved how tentative Carla was being about this, because they could have taken her down the route of we're not having a baby in here, no way, let's take her straight to the police station.
She was a little bit.
Well, no, she took her in while Lisa was across the road.
No, but Lisa's being far more maternal with her than
Lisa thinks this is brilliant.
Yeah, Lisa loves this.
She loves this, and this was another reason why I really enjoyed the story, because it was a chance for Lisa to have a smile on her face for a while,
that's
rather
nice.
than the usual perpetual tears. Yeah, we are. I really, really enjoyed their interactions with the baby all week.
But just to be clear, just because you don't have kids doesn't mean you hate babies or children. Like, I don't hate babies or children.
No.
I know, but you're kind of assuming that Carla would be like, ugh.
No, but I kind of got the impression from Carla before that she's just like, literally, I'm so out of my depth here. This is not...
It's completely out of my realm of experience. I cannot... I've got no experience to deal with this at all.
Yeah, and I can't... I'm struggling to remember like how much a part of her life Simon ever was, for example, when he was growing up. But I don't think that she ever... I'm gonna say, feel free to correct me if you need to, anybody, but I don't think that she was ever like particularly auntie-ish over him.
No, she wasn't very much, no. So they bring the baby inside and Lisa comes in and says, this is Connie, Mandy's baby. She's your niece, Carla, and Granny Mandy has to have an operation.
Granny of Mandy, yeah.
Yes, of course.
Did they say that Mandy is
Granny Waring
just locked up now? I assume she is.
Well, you have to assume, because why would Granny be looking? So Granny Waring's got to have surgery. So Carla needs to look after her, and Lisa's already said yes. And this is what I mean. See, Carla's very uncomfortable with this and tells Lisa to send her back. She just does not know what.
Return to sender.
So she goes to the factory with Sarah, and she's saying, I don't see why I've got to clear up after Rob's mess. This is like really annoying. Again. Yeah,
I think that she was... I can't remember whether it was this scene or a later one where she says... It was literally... Is this going to be another Bobby situation here? Because...
throw her in the sea.
I was burned then. Like, I welcomed Bobby into my life. Another one of Rob's children. And look how that turned out. Everybody hated him. They couldn't wait for the character to leave the show. And I don't want to be tarnished with the same brush again. So, this better be a good one.
So, yeah... Sarah says, this could be a great opportunity to get to know Connie. So she goes home in the evening and Connie's very happy in her cot. And I do love how kicky her little legs are. She's very cute. Is it Aoife and Erin, the babies, the actresses? Very good already, so young. She's very happy. Lisa's folding baby clothes and it's like the picture of domestic bliss in her.
Yeah.
And Carla's comes in and she's like, sorry, I was a bit off, but I was pregnant once and I went to have a termination. I couldn't go through with it because I couldn't imagine myself as a mum. But then 5 months in, I lost the baby and I was devastated. But I got over it. I thought I had. But now this is dragging everything back up again.
So the story here, this was when Carla was pregnant with Peter's baby, was it?
Yeah.
But then he was having an affair with Tina Mack. And Carla was like, well, I'm not keeping that then. But then she changed her mind. And that was a really, really... I've got vague memories, but I remember her being there at the abortion clinic and like a tear rolling down her cheek. And I can't remember, we might have even been left to ponder for a little while, like, has she gone through with it or not?
And then when she loses her baby, Roy's there for her and tells her she would have been a great mum. And it's very hard. And I'm sure everybody listening has their own experiences with horrible things that have stirred up by this. Not just Carla, who is a fictional character who didn't actually experience any of this. So she says, I thought I'd let this go, but this is stirring it up. And Lisa says, if you really don't think you can do it, and Carla says, I don't know how to do this. And Lisa says, I'll show you, we can do it together.
I think that was one of Carla's biggest worries for herself. Like, she's usually such a confident woman that always seems to know what she's doing with things. And I know she took a bit of a step into the unknown when she got together with Lisa, but she likes to feel like she's in control, doesn't she? And this is...
you're not in control when you have a baby.
No, I not at all. And this is so far out of her comfort zone. It must be like super uncomfortable.
And I know that we shouldn't be, but we're all so influenced by media and like culture. And I do think that a lot of us forget that motherhood kind of gets reinvented continuously by society and culture and the obsessions that they have. So like when we were kids, a lot of American TV shows and movies was all about divorce and women who were trying to be career women and also mums and juggling with it. And so that was kind of like what we were looking at when we were growing up. And so Carla, as a very driven career woman, probably was influenced a little bit by TV and stuff to go, I don't think I can do both. Also, she had a really terrible mother herself, and she's probably thinking, this is an impossible task. Like, you have to be a special sort of woman that I'm not to be able to do this. I can't do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she's definitely lacks confidence in that area.
When you don't have that home life, that happy home life, it must be such a huge black hole of scary.
She doesn't have the experience to draw from.
I don't want to mess up like I don't want to mess up like my mum did. I don't want to ruin somebody's life.
Yeah, but at least, as far as they know at the moment, this is only a temporary thing. I really, what could happen Is it that Granny Mandy is going to have some complications during her surgery? Maybe. I'm really not. I'm not up for Carla and Lisa keeping the baby.
Can I just say to anybody who really likes the idea of this, in theory it sounds really great, okay? But having watched Coronation Street for as long as we both have here, I'm just going to tell you that I feel the same way a little bit about it as I do if they were getting a puppy. Once bitten, twice shy. That's not a it's not a joke about being bitten by a puppy. It just won't happen. It just won't happen the way you think it will. It won't be cute. It won't be fun. It'll just be very tedious. And everything you like about them having a kid will just be churned into boring logistics. And the only time you will really hear about Connie is when they say, "Who's looking after Connie?" Yeah. Connie's with her uncle. Connie's gone to camp. Connie's upstairs. Connie's late. Connie's at football. Connie's doing. It'll be just a really tedious about 10 years where the child hasn't got anything to do. They'll maybe cast a really cute toddler who'll be great in about 5 scenes every year.
Which is why I'm kind of more up for this being a short-term story that can hopefully just be very pleasant, fairly drama-free. I'm just saying. If this was over and done with in a month, and we look back and say, "Do you remember that time when Carla and Lisa were looking after the baby for a bit? That was a nice little side story, wasn't it? Yeah. Over and done with. It was cute."
It just won't happen. It just won't be as fun as you think it will be. And I, if it would be as fun as you thought it would be, I'd also want it to happen too, because this baby is unexpectedly cute, and we also really love Doran. But look at Doran. He was adorable. Where is he now?
Chasing Brian out of the room with the drums.
He's barely in it.
Week. Yeah.
And when he is in it, he just kind of derails the scenes he's in because of how adorable he is, and you don't pay attention. There's just way too many pitfalls.
I mean, soap couples have got to have babies, haven't they? To bring in the new generation.
I know, this is why Harry Hewitt had the right idea.
Yeah, ship them off to boarding
school. Stick them in an orphanage until they're done.
Yeah, exactly. Tuesday.
Yeah. I'm just saying. Now, when they get to maybe like David's age when he first was played by Jack P. Shepherd, or Simon's age when he was played by
Alex Bain.
Those they can talk, they're cute, they've got a reason to be in scenes, etc. Better. But baby just becomes a really difficult logistical filming thing. And you also staring down, I'm just going to say to Swallow fans, the possibility that they keep Connie as a regular and then you just don't see Carla and Lisa again for ages because they're looking after the baby or they're busy with the baby, because these actresses have to have a break. You're not going to get intensive months of cute baby stuff.
No.
Because also these two actresses, the babies who play Connie, they can't film the whole time either. They've got to have big breaks. They've got rights apparently. These children.
Well, yeah, exactly. They're very time limited for babies on set, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not the same as any other show. It would be it would be a completely different ball game. But because this is a soap and it films continuously, the problems that you introduce when you have something like a baby in a story. It's quite difficult.
It is, but you're kind of talking as if soap characters should never have babies just because it's never that interesting and it's never very easy to film. And I don't agree with that. I just think this particular couple, Lisa and Carla, have got enough going for them at the moment without the extra, added flourish of a baby involvement.
I do find babies in Corrie very difficult because it always feels like they follow the same story. And then they get to an age where they go, "Oh, they're not here now. Where are they then?"
Now they're a troubled teen.
Literally don't care where the baby is because it's like organising a babysitting for a baby you don't even have. I don't care where they are. They're not on the screen. Nobody goes, "Well, where's Brian? Where's Brian gone?" I don't know. I assume he's at the sweet shop doing whatever. Anyway, so on Tuesday, Carla's got the baby, and this baby's been keeping everybody up, I assume. And Lisa comes down and Ryan's there and Ed comes in, and I love this because the Bailey boys, they are giving they're like, "Lola's gone to Singapore now, so you can have all her stuff." Basically, here's a buggy, here's some outfits, etc.
Ronnie was really cute. I think he was cute with. He does love babies. So I remember that really with Glory and Tiana as well.
I love like older middle-aged men and granddads with babies.
Yeah, because your dad gets adorable. Like that, doesn't he?
It's so cute. Yeah. I wish we could afford to club together as a world and give every man who wants to hold a baby for 5 minutes that opportunity, but we can't. At the cafe later, Ronnie gives baby clothes to Carla from Layla, and then she gets a phone call from Sarah. She's got to go into work, and I don't remember what that's about.
I can't remember whether there's much. I think it basically is exactly
a career woman and
a
baby.
How can I be a world-class knicker boss with also having a baby on my lap at the same time?
Can't do it. So she's like over her head. Mary comes and she also loves this baby, bounces her around. And there's always a scene, this always happens. There's always a woman who can't deal with a baby crying. And then somebody else comes in, takes the baby off them, and they stop crying immediately. And the person goes, "How did you do that?" And they're like, "Here's some piece of advice that really wouldn't work in real life." And then they go, "Wow, you're amazing." And they say, "Just do the advice I told you." And they do the advice and it works.
You just have to reach around the back of their neck and flick the off switch.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
All babies have got this special switch. So she gives the baby back and Connie's like, "Wow, you know how to do it now."
Yeah, this was the cue. I really love Ali's expressions in this scene. Just a little triumph, relieved / triumphant smile that she gives when it starts to click with her.
Yeah.
It's the sort of look that we don't really ever see with Carla.
I know, but see, this is the thing, like, it's unlocking some special part that she would never have had if she hadn't had a baby. And I get that's probably true.
But it didn't come across as being...
really tiresome.
It didn't come across as being, no, Carla wouldn't do that. It was just like true. A little barrier being broken down that she's erected for herself, around herself, for the entirety of her life.
Yep. I just wish that men experienced some of this.
What do you mean?
Well, like, you don't... What have you ever thought about any of this? Like, you have no pressures on you. Nobody talks to you about any of this stuff. Nobody has expectations. Nobody, like...
Well, people want men to be dads. I know mummage is more of a thing, and it's like, when do you want to be a mum? But... No.
I know, but you don't have any deep... You're not thinking any deeply about this, are you, really? Or, like... thinking of yourself as Carla, or like, what would I do, or how do I feel about this?
No, I just pass her on to you, to be honest. No, I know what you mean. I don't have any deep. What
are men's deep thoughts about? What are they about?
Football, cars, beer. I'm not
being dismissive, because we have had some like very important men's mental health storylines on Coronation Street, and I really do like the scenes where we have men and their friends. And,
Tim and Steve go on a fishing trip.
Yeah, that was really good. I like that kind of stuff. But we don't. When was the last time a man confronted parenthood?
I don't know.
Was it James?
Yeah, I guess so.
But we didn't even see it from his perspective. It was really he was the kind of the block for.
Well, he doted on Layla straight away, didn't he?
I know, but we haven't heard a sort of peep out of him since. If it was a consistent storyline about his struggle for fatherhood, he would have said a word. Now he's offloading Layla's I noticed it wasn't actually him though. Maybe he's probably in the Bailey house and Michael and Ed are just ripping things out of his hands.
No, it's the only memory I've got of her still.
I know, but you know what I mean. Like he even just went, "Oh, I was mad about you going to Singapore, but I'm over it. Yeah. Bye, Dee and Layla. See you later." It doesn't feel like an authentic examination of a man's true, yearning for. It kind of feels like maybe she should have gone to Singapore because you don't seem that invested at all. You should be a bit more invested.
He's used to it. It's just like a transfer. Football transfer. He's been picked up by.
But Layla's been transferred to Singapore.
By the Bolton Wanderers from.
Oh well, maybe one day I'll get to play there.
Exactly.
So on Wednesday, Lisa, I swear that Lisa is the character on Coronation Street who has the lowest stakes illnesses, she's always got a sniffle or a sneeze or something.
She doesn't always, but
she has it more than anyone else, because I think that they like making her look cute with her little dressing gown and sneezing
just got a little sneeze
and looking a bit sleepy and dozy, and all the Swallow fans are like, look how cute she is.
I don't know. I can't remember how long it was since the first major Swain sneezing session, but was this a reaction to that? It's like, oh, they loved it when Lisa sneezed that time. Now we've got to make her do it again.
Hiccuping as well.
All sorts of bodily functions.
She can do anything.
Yeah.
You should hear her fart. She's great.
She can do it on cue.
She can do it with her armpits. That Vicky White's so talented. Anyway, yeah, she's sneezing, and but Connie's got a sniffle, and it seems as though she's caught it, and by the next day she's sick. I can't remember, but Carla very, very sweet and funnily sits down to watch an interior design show with Connie because they've got colours and shapes in it, which I thought was funny. Lisa comes home at lunchtime, and they're talking about nappies because Carla's like, she should change her, and Lisa's like, oh, I'm going back to work. And then she says,
Lisa just seems to be loving the whole thing.
Why wouldn't you?
But she's so in love with having this baby in the house, and it's lit her up so much. I'm surprised she just isn't wanting to be up to her elbows in baby poo, because it's all just part of the experience.
You know, if Connie doesn't stay, do you think they would talk about adopting a baby or something?
I suppose it could go down that route, but I'd probably rather it was Connie than just another fostering or adoption storyline.
She just seems really...
It's not too late for Carla.
They're both 50.
Yeah.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
Not too late for Carla what?
To be a mum. And
50... It feels a bit...
little bit geriatric in the
my
medical
mum was
sense.
30 and she was a geriatric mother.
Yeah, but I mean, they used that word for Shona, didn't they, when she was pregnant?
Yeah, I think they've moved the goalposts a little bit.
I can't tell at the moment whether they'll be able to resist that temptation to put a baby there. It's going to cause, if Carla's going to be, knocking 70 by the time the kid goes to university.
Get into it, because this is such a fraught subject. Because women get judged enough as it is, like too early, too late, but you're going to be this old when the baby's born, you're too old to have a baby, you're too young to have a baby.
But there's never been a character in Coronation Street before this old to have a new baby, is there? As far as I remember, because they had the pregnancy storyline with Erica when she was pregnant with Nick, and then that had the potential to be interesting. I don't know, we probably thought it was going to be boring.
No,
at the time,
I thought it was interesting,
but that obviously never worked. So this could be breaking new ground for Coronation Street.
It's a good way to explore topics to do with parents who are choosing to have children older in life, and lots of people criticise them and say, you're it's really selfish because like you said, you'll be 70 when they're at university. I think it's down to everybody individually, and nobody who has a baby at that age is unaware of maths. Like, exactly what
Carla's got a good business brain for that. She knows numbers.
People live longer now.
We know by Betsy's noise cancelling headphones that Carla still has a lot of energy in her as well. But whether or not she still will do in, I don't know, 10 years' time or 15 years' time when Connie is a terrible teen, that's another matter entirely.
They're all going to be fighting over those noise-cancelling headphones, I think.
They probably are at the moment, yeah.
Oh, bless. How could you... honestly, this baby is, such a nice baby. Of course you and Lisa wanted a baby. Lisa wanted children. So having another one around must be very lovely. I wonder if it will lead to a conversation where Carla's like, I'm really sorry that I couldn't give you, a baby or a chance for a life like this. And Lisa says, I've done it now. I've moved on. I'm not missing out on anything because you're enough for me. I think that would be really sweet.
Yeah, but as I say, I think I would prefer for it to just be a bit of a learning session for Carla. Realise that she's not... that she could have done it, but she's not going to get a chance to, and she's learned something about herself. And anyway, let's get moved on and get married. Time to get married, and who's going to get murdered? Maybe it's Connie.
Maybe it's the baby. You can't say that. People will get really mad at us.
Maybe Connie's the killer.
Could be. Babies have killed people before, I'm sure.
Oh, well, we've all seen Who Shot Mr. Burns. I know it didn't kill him, but he was close.
Exactly. Right, so, so this is when she says, I didn't do a lot of that stuff. It was always, I can't say her name. It's Becky. Oh, and Carla says, look, you can talk about her. She's part of your life, whether you like it or not. And then Lisa says, oh, you can name all your exes if you like, or do we have to book out a weekend? And then they just basically, exorcise the ghost of Becky somehow.
I'm kind of imagining.
If you were waiting for a big heart-to-heart and a proper reckoning with the events that happened over Christmas and New Year's, that was all you're getting.
This was a way of saying, we're putting. I imagine that maybe there's been a bit of treading on eggshells since Becky's been to prison. Like, do we mention her? I don't want to start. Lisa's going to be feeling super guilty still, isn't she, about everything that happened with. But
she doesn't act like she's not acted like she's done anything wrong.
She kind of semi-apologised for an episode or two, didn't she? Until Carla was like, "Go on then, let's get back together again." But yeah, I imagine that it might have been a bit awkward because Lisa could have been thinking, if I mention Becky again, Carla could say, "Look, I thought we had this woman out of our life. Stop bringing her up."
Or she might remember that she was kidnapped. And she's probably forgotten completely by now. You're trying to bring it up again.
When was it? Wednesday or Thursday? They made the joke about.
She said,
kidnap.
"Yeah." It's so weird. It's like, is it really that it's so soon that you can laugh about it?
Well, it is if you've had it 3 times in a year.
This is why it's really hard. Coronation Street makes life so difficult because like, how can you really take it seriously and invest emotionally in something and really like give your you let yourself be vulnerable with a television show like this. Like, you invest in what they ask you to emotionally and give yourself to a story, and then they're like, do you remember when I got kidnapped?
Well, it was a little bit like that scene with Tim, Ben and Steve as well. The Dead Dads Club, wasn't it? And like, well, my dad's dead. Oh, how did my dad fell down the stairs and my dad fell off a roof.
But I think that seems realistic, and it's been a long time since that happened,
I guess so. Yeah.
And like we make horrible jokes about things that are really tragic between ourselves.
Yeah, I know.
But I think it's a bit soon to be cracking jokes about not having a bath on Christmas Eve because you were kidnapped.
True.
Anyway, so they're fine about Becky now, so just stop asking about it, all right? On Thursday, they're all tired.
Do you think that Becky's going to be killed? Are we still going down that path, or is it literally...
They're just going to forget. They don't care. They don't care about it. They're not going to be bothered about it. And I will say one other thing before we move on from Becky, is that maybe there will be a time that Coronation Street gives them an episode to probably talk about it, but it's not going to be anytime soon, and it's going to have to be... the precedent will be something happens with Becky or some kind of new development in their relationship that causes them to go back and talk about this. I do think there's still a chance that they will talk about this, but it will be in a very general way, and it will happen months, if not years, down the line. Because they've done that before on Coronation Street. Like, even Carla talking to Lisa about her baby loss, that was something that, I don't know that she's addressed since.
No, I don't think so.
There is always a chance that they will talk about it, but they won't do it now for months, if not.
It's so rare that characters sit down and have deep, meaningful conversations about. I mean, I'm thinking of things like, was it Abby and Bernie having a talk together? When was that?
That was really
after
rare.
Seb died, or
I
don't remember.
That was when Paul had MND, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. Well, it was. You're right. It was. And then it was kind of plot developmental.
It has to be. That's what I mean.
Plot reasoning. That's why they're having this conversation. They're not just going to have a sit down chat about it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why they wouldn't.
But which is why I did appreciate still the moment that we got on Monday, Tuesday's episode, whenever it was, that Carla was talking about the Tina affair and her.
She didn't say about the affair.
Yeah, she did, didn't she?
I don't think she did.
I don't know.
I would. There's just so much opportunity that they can't do it because there's no time. But you could have had a whole episode of her talking about what happened to her with Lisa.
I'm still waiting for the next single character focused episode, because I was getting quite interested in the fact that we had the David and Shona one, we had the Bernie one, and I was like, oh, maybe every couple of weeks there's going to be one of the 5 episodes it's going to be just dedicated to one story, and it's not happened since, so maybe that was just a coincidence that happened, and it's not going to become a regular feature. I don't know.
On Thursday, like I said, they haven't slept all night because of the baby. And Sally comes in with some documents from the factory that Sarah wants to be signed. And Connie's finally asleep. And for some reason, these crazy women have put the baby as a bedroom in the front room, and then want everyone to not make a noise or knock on the door.
It's the old packing your bags in the living room situation again, isn't it? It's the old hide my secret box that I don't want anybody to find with all my little trinkets of...
Where should we put the baby?
Put it all in the lounge.
In the main set.
Yeah. Why does Jodie keep her box downstairs? Because she hasn't got a bedroom set.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that makes sense here.
Yeah. So they're like, shut up, be quiet. Don't wake the baby up. And then Sally's phone rings and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. The baby's awake. And so Sally is sharing her parenting tips with them later, and she's like, well, you know, I have got 2 daughters, one straight and one lesbian, which is nice.
I never get bored. Like that was just a new twist on the way that she says it. Like
I know, it's like you normally would say I've got a boy and a girl.
Yeah. Sally's one is usually she's a lesbian. She's a lesbian and a Christian, but just that she's one straight, one lesbian, which is nice. It's just a lovely little play on the usual formula.
Oh, do you think that maybe she's lost her faith?
Oh, well, maybe.
She didn't say one's an atheist and one's a Christian.
No.
Which is nice.
That's for next time. Yeah. Ooh, you should hear them over Christmas dinner.
Yeah, so she's trying to give them tips and tell them what to do, and they are not interested whatsoever, and eventually she buzzes off.
Well, she doesn't, in true Sally fashion, she doesn't realise that they do not want her there, does she?
Yeah.
And even I can't remember. She starts to go, doesn't she? And then was it Ryan comes in? It's like, should I put the kettle on? And Sally's like, I think she just goes, oh, and then, okay, I'll go. That was a superb scene. It's a gift to get a scene like that for Sally. I can't remember who wrote Thursday's episode. Was it Stephen Fay maybe? But yeah, absolute classic. Long may these kinds of scenes continue.
That is it.
Yeah, just as I say, unexpectedly pleasant, and I am actually quite looking forward to seeing what happens next with this. If there isn't, I don't even know that it was going to be in next week's scenes, but if it was, I wouldn't complain. The Harper drama, the Jodie drama this week. So Wednesday was the day that her operation took place, but it was, I don't know, it feels like this week was more about Jodie than Harper, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Like Harper was almost a vehicle by which Jodie was able to get up to a little bit more lies and deception and almost getting caught out by things. And although, as expected, Jack P. Shepherd and Julia Goulding's performances were brilliant on Wednesday, I did say on the short, and I still stick with this, that I don't think my heart was wrenched quite as much as I expected it to be. It wasn't like mega harrowing, edge of your seat, is everything going to be okay? Oh no, something's going wrong. I didn't particularly get that from Wednesday's episode. I guess we felt those feelings on the episode in January when it was just dedicated to them and the birthing scenes. But I enjoyed this story this week. But yeah, it didn't quite go the way that I was necessarily expecting. There's a few bits with Jodie, and she's still fouling up the pavement again, isn't she? Well, yeah. Doggy David is, and Adam is the unfortunate treader-inner on Tuesday's episode. So she's made herself an enemy there. Watch out on April the 23rd. He's going to be coming at you with a
pooey shoe.
I was going to say just wielding a massive caber to smack her around the face with and knock her into next week. But Daniel stands on the poo first, and he goes round to the house and has a go. Adam. Daniel, he wasn't in it this week, was he? Adam comes into the house and has a go at Jodie, and Shona's like, look, Adam, I haven't got time for this. Sod off. My daughter's having an operation tomorrow, actually. I haven't got time for you talking about stepping in big piles of poo. And he's like,
skulks off.
Yeah, he kind of skulks off, quite ashamed that they're going through something fairly major at the Platt household. So
if Daniel stepped in Doggy David poo, he would probably beat the dog to death with his textbooks Because we know how, reasonably he reacts to any kind of
so certain things do trigger him, don't they? Yeah.
Throw him down the stairs.
Yeah, kick him off the pavement. David and Shona...
That is a very long drop for a little dog.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been in the 60s, though, would it?
No, he would have had to have pretended to jump.
David and Shona end up in the pub later, and I really, really appreciated this completely unnecessary scene in terms of plot. But it was, we got a brief little character moment of Glenda coming over to them. Glenda of all people. Glenda, who never has really anything to do with David and Shona. But gosh, she's got a big heart and an even bigger hug. And she just gives them her best wishes for tomorrow. And it was just really heartwarmingly lovely. And more the kind of thing that I want to see a bit more of in Coronation Street. Just other characters interacting with each other and showing a bit of humanity towards them rather than just, their inconveniences to my plot line. So, yeah, thumbs up from me for that one. Wednesday, though, that's your big day. So it starts off with Shona and David in hospital. And they've had a message from the lovely Dr. Harper, haven't they? Yeah. He's back down in Devon again or wherever it is.
Don't ruin the baby I got for you.
Shona's gonna send him a pie because apparently we don't have them down south, and I don't know whether you want to take this opportunity to share your thoughts about this scene, Gemma.
Cheese and onion, I've never heard of it.
Was it on the end of Tuesday's episode where David's a bit ratted off that Shona's just brought home the leftover pie, or was it Jodie? I can't remember from the cafe. But
National Pie Week this week.
I wonder whether they knew that when they were writing it. Unlikely. But apparently Dr. Harper says that we don't have pies like Roy's cheese and onion pie down south. To be fair, I don't know when the last time I had a cheese and onion pie was.
Why would you have a cheese and onion pie when you can have a Cornish pasty?
I really like... if I had a choice...
I know, you like them, don't you?
If I had a choice between cheese and onion pasty and Cornish pasty, I would go with cheese and onion.
Well, pasties and pies are different, and obviously pasties are superior to pies.
I don't know whether I've had a cheese and onion pie actually in my life. Is it because
we don't have them here?
We don't have them here, and Harper's right all along. I don't know, but I am a pie fan, so maybe we need to track one of those down. Anyway, David gives
Shona want a pie now.
David gives Shona a big hug. She's starting to have a bit of a wobble. Understandable. Meanwhile, back at the Platts, you got whole of the rest of the family there. Nick's even got Gail on the phone telling her all about the risks of the surgery, which is a very mummish thing to want to know, I suppose.
Everyone was saying like, she don't they have Google in France? Can't she look this up herself? I can just imagine
this is Gail we're talking
hasn't realised that you need to change because it does suddenly start... It knows where you are. So she probably is getting everything in French. But she doesn't know to change. She's probably like, Google's French now. I can't talk to it.
So I think, Gail worked as a receptionist at the medical centre for all these years, hasn't she? So she's maybe just got a little bit more of an interest in all things medical. And she just wants to know that her granddaughter's going to be okay.
Of course she does.
Yeah,
it's not a professional interest she's taking.
No, but it's all the details. I don't know.
She's like, normally grandmas wouldn't ask this, but because I used to work in doctor's surgery, just interested in the risks.
It seemed to be being done for comedy purposes anyway. The rest of the family there, so you got Bethany's there. Artoya has become a honorary Platt for the day, hasn't she? And
she's just loving it.
They're all realising that maybe when David and Shona said they didn't want them to go down to the hospital, maybe that they did want them there. So they all pile up into their cars and head off down to the hospital. David, meanwhile, is pacing the floor. Shona just wants to sit and wait patiently. Harper's under the knife by this point.
This must be the most horrible thing ever. Just the agony of wait, and you don't know how it's going to go. This poor baby, so tiny.
Yeah, and it was a massive old lump on her neck, wasn't it? It wasn't just like,
really
let's get this little polyp off or anything. This is like removing a football.
They made the model, didn't they? And they wouldn't normally... In the past, they haven't done stuff. They've had, babies that have had problems and they haven't shown... You don't expect to see it, do you? Because I think it's mostly a budget thing. It's usually like, and here's a bundle of clothes or,
Sometimes.
blankets.
I remember when Abby gave birth to Alfie. I'm pretty sure
recent.
They had... Yeah, I suppose so. But he was premature, wasn't he? And I think they had a little a little wobbly jelly-like thing for him as well.
Maybe Michelle.
Yeah,
Rory.
Did Rory appear on screen? I don't remember. I'm not sure. But anyway, we did get to see a bit of little bit of what's her name, Harper, didn't we? Not too much of a close-up before we start realising that the fingers are attached together and stuff.
What are you talking about?
Well, I'm just saying that I don't know whether the baby Harper model's fingers separated. Because,
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but you sound very weird what you're saying.
Oh, it's fine.
Because you thought it was it's obviously a model and you weren't sure they modelled it properly, is what you're saying.
Well, I'm just saying that maybe they did it on the cheap. Because you're not expecting to get many close-ups of it. No, I know.
Fun fact, everybody, in the Coronation Street Pops department, there is a drawer of babies. And they have very many, very anatomically correct and quite harrowing babies of different sizes in drawers.
All shapes, sizes, colours, all sorts. Yeah, they're all there.
Along with Sally's that heart in a box that Sally got that time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right, so anyway, the rest of the clans show up. Toya's there with her sandwiches, isn't she? Her paninas.
She's made... Oh, is it a panino?
Oh, yeah.
And hummus. And it's so funny because, I know that there's... Leanne and Nick have got this long history and a lot of people argue that they're made for each other and they should stay together and this is just a blip and Leanne and Nick are going to break up and whatever. I don't really care. I'm not that invested in
I would like Leanne and Nick to be back together.
It is funny how much of a Toya man Nick has become, because he was talking about having an ice cube of aquafaba that you blend into the hummus to make it extra silky. And I'm like, this man, Leanne wouldn't even know what you're talking about.
I don't know. They've got a fancy bistro, haven't they?
Who does?
Nick.
I'm talking about when he was with Leanne.
Yeah, but this cube of aqua, what's it?
Yeah, aquafaba.
He probably got it from Chef. It's probably Zidane that introduced him to it.
Okay, all right then.
No, I think that... Yeah, you're right that it is definitely more of a Toya thing than a Leanne thing. Do you find that? Of course
it is.
Do you find that Toya's being used as a bit of a joke?
Yes.
As a bit of a, look how dull I am?
I'm actually starting to get offended on behalf of vegans here. She's not a vegan, she's a vegetarian. But has she not got anything else to talk about? They really don't know who this character is apart from that she doesn't eat meat.
No,
and she eats hummus.
She's only got a 29-year legacy on the show, and that's the only thing that she's got going for her. Sometimes the environment.
I just think they're making it. Making it into a joke, and it is such a tired joke. It's. I don't mind jokes aimed at anything. I think that there's no joke that's off the table really, but you got to be a bit clever with it, and I don't like it when Corey's lazy and they go into stereotypes. This is why I get annoyed when they're like, oh, a woman who can't cook, can you believe it? And they think that that's just a joke in itself.
Yeah.
And that's enough. And the joke is that she eats hummus and she's made hummus for everybody. And then the other joke is that they like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Must do harder, Coronation Street. Must try harder.
It's just a bit boring. It's just really boring, and I think that vegans and vegetarians have aren't they bored? Have they had enough of it? Because I have. What's so funny about not eating meat?
There's a bit of drama coming up next because Shona sees some people rushing into the room where the op's going on, and she goes and has a look, and she's told something a bit about a bleed, but not too serious. I mean, did you think at all? Were you ever worried for Harper's life during this episode?
No, apart from during the fake out.
Oh yeah, there was a bit of a fake out at the end. No, I thought that everything was going to be fine. I don't know. It just the story didn't feel like it was ready to go down the route of a baby death, because it's been so lovey-dovey and positive, and despite all of the worry that the family are going through, David and Shona have still held it together. And I know that there's kind of the spectre of Jodie there, kind of just waiting in the wings to pounce on David. And maybe if Harper hadn't survived, it would have, that would have, in some couples...
Harper's not the focus now.
No, in some couples, a baby death can absolutely devastate them, can't it? And that could have been an opportunity for Jodie to sweep in there, but no.
Jodie, Harper had to survive so that eventually Jodie can snatch her.
Yes, well, exactly.
Jodie's going to try and run off with Harper, and that's probably why she's going to die.
David gets a little bit get a little bit frantic and has a bit of a shout at everybody because he's been trying to hold it together. He's been trying to be the strong one, hasn't he? Particularly for Shona, but he loses it and tells everyone to go. So they do go and sit out in the car. Jodie kind of hangs around for a little bit longer then and gets an apology from David. So she offers him a bit of a hug and he's just a little bit weirded out by it and gives her an awkward one back. And she's like, "Don't worry, David. Harper's going to be fine." And then this is when Jodie sees the other mum with the baby, and this is a Carmel Finnan move here. There's like, "Oh yes, I am the mum of this child, of course." And it's like, psycho alarm is going here. So not only does she want David, now she's pretending that she's actually the baby's mum. And I don't think we're at the stage where she believes that she is or anything like that.
Do you think she's just, what are they called? Where you can't stop lying?
Yeah, a pathological liar.
Yeah, do you think
she is? And kleptomaniac, and she is not. About... She doesn't have her head screwed on properly.
They even talk about that later, don't they? When Shona finds out, and then Jodie makes out this other woman is lying, and they're like, "Oh, psycho, we can't stop lying."
Yeah, and Jodie kind of does. She's smart enough to know that when when Shona's saying, "Oh yeah, some people they're weird about things like that," Jodie knows that she is also like that, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's
like, that was close. So she's not so mentally unstable that she doesn't realise what she's doing.
She doesn't believe her own lies.
No.
That's so interesting. See, pathological liar seems to me to be one of those things that we all learned about in the 90s that will turn out to be completely not true, and it's a mischaracterization, and like how everybody thought schizophrenia was I hear voices, and it's not at all that at all. That used to be the established thing, and then everyone's hopefully has moved on from that.
Yeah.
But pathological lying, is that actually a real thing, or is it just a work of fiction?
I really don't know. I really, really don't know. But that seems to be where they're going to for Jodie. I am still kind of intrigued by her. I don't know whether the story's moving just that little bit too slowly for me, but. Yeah, we're still very much at the stage like we don't really know who the true Jodie is, do we?
No.
We're piecing together ideas about her. Go on.
Pathological lying, also known as pseudologica fantastica.
That's a great Latin name.
Apparently, it's still like. It says there's an ongoing debate about whether it should be classified as a distinct disorder or viewed as a symptom of other underlying conditions.
It does make me wonder, after this bit of the storyline is over, is Jodie going to go down the classic Corrie road to recovery, and before long she's going to be a beloved member of the community, or is this so deeply entrenched within her, this part of her personality, that there's no coming back from it? Is
there like a way to overcome this or something?
I don't know. Anyway, Harper's fine. I didn't like that scene where David and Shona are nearly falling asleep, and then a bloke, I think it was, comes out of the operating theatre and he's looking all morose, and David and Shona stand up to hear the news, and then it fades to them walking out of the hospital. It was like you say, you called it a fake out, didn't you?
It was so weird.
It's like, oh no, everything's not going well. Oh no, it's fine.
It was like a double fake out, because the surgeon comes out and he looks devastated. And then they stand up and don't say anything. And then they walk out dejectedly. And then everyone comes running out the cars going, "What happened?" And they're like, she's fine.
Yeah.
I would get so... I'm sorry, but I would throttle them, both of them. If I'd sat there in a cold car park waiting to find out if this poor baby has lived through an operation, and they, for a second, made me think that she died... I'd be so cross.
I think that a scene where we saw that they'd been told, and we saw the relief, and we saw the tears, and I think that probably would have hit better than what we got.
This is probably why you came away with it feeling like there wasn't an emotional connection. It's a bonkers decision to have taken the emotional peak, the climax of this story that's been going on for months, and turn it into a little silly joke. The sort of thing that they do when somebody's had a driving test.
Well, it was also a little bit like, you get the scenes where Corrie children have to be told that their parent has died because, that always happens. But they often won't show the scene. They'll have the dad sitting down, because it usually is the dad, isn't it? 'Cause the mum's dead. The dad sitting down there next to the kid saying, "Here, look, I've got something to tell you." Yeah. And then it cuts away because the little kid doesn't have the acting chops to really emote in a suitable way. It kind of was a bit like that. But,
it's like they didn't trust
I think
anybody.
Jack and Jules could have managed it.
They didn't trust anybody in that scene. Like, a single person who's been in this show for the combined, like, over a century. This lot have been in Coronation Street. These are like some of the corest characters you could get, and they were like, nah,
let's do a fake out.
Why do it?
Let's have a nighttime scene outside the hospital.
Why rob the story of the most emotional moment they could have had?
I mean, the story has had plenty of emotional moments.
They thought we would go, oh my god, I thought she was dead, but she's not. I'm so relieved. No, it didn't work out like that at all for me.
What it brings back to mind...
Did it work for you guys?
Yeah, maybe it's just us being picky. But what it brought back to mind for me was the moment that Ollie dies and Leanne is there next to the hospital bed, and I can't remember exactly how it worked or how it went, but when she agrees, let's turn the life support machine off, and then it kind of cut to her arriving back on the street, and it was dark, and that was obviously different because the worst thing imaginable had happened. Yeah. But yeah, it kind of felt like that. Oh, I don't know. Don't want to split hairs any longer. It was just
a really weird decision.
Yeah. End of the episode, you have David standing in the room, and I think Shona's there for a bit, and she blobs off, and then you see Jodie is still loitering around the hospital, looking through the little porthole in the door, just being a little bit of a Costello lurker back there, isn't she?
So strange.
Thursday, they're all at the hospital still. David, Shona, Jodie.
She hasn't left. None of them have left.
No. Well, I mean, Nick and Toya and Bethany have gone, haven't they?
But that's what I mean. Joda, Shona, and Devi.
Yeah, and Jodie is still very competently pulling the wool over Shona's eyes, because there's been a few kind of moments when Shona's kind of looked over at Jodie and was like, "Oh, thank you. I really appreciate you." Kind of genuine. "I'm really glad that you're here, sis." And it just makes me like, "Oh, Jodie, what are you up to? What are you going to try and do here?"
I tell her to bog off.
Shona does admit to David that it's a little bit odd that Jodie stayed overnight, but she's still she doesn't get particularly suspicious, does she? I don't think.
What are they there for, Michael? When they go home, why don't you just go
exactly.
home?
Well, Harper's fine now. Just go home. Come back.
No need to
come
be
back
there.
in a week or something when she's up. Anyway. The big development on Thursday in this story, and I did think that on the whole Thursday's episode of Corrie was fairly uneventful, but we did have Lily uncovering Jodie's secret box when she's scouring the lounge for homework. Was it? I think, yeah.
How does anyone lose anything in that house? There's nothing in it.
I know.
It's one of the tidiest houses I've ever seen.
Who'd have thought that Gail was just the one that was messing it up all the time?
Yeah, Gail's bad decor decisions was a black hole.
It's like when when you tidy your room when you're a kid and your mum says, "No, I want it to stay like this because look how lovely it is." And with them, it's like, the house is burnt down now. Yeah. We're going to keep it tidy, okay? No more fires, no more mess.
Because really, it was the mess that caught on fire.
Exactly. Anyway. She opens this box and finds Bernie's photo inside and Brian's book. Yeah. So it was Jodie who stole the book, and I was convinced it was Lily beforehand. But anyway, she doesn't tell Bethany about it. We do see later on in the episode that she thinks this is really weird that you've got it. But for the moment, she wants to keep this under her hat so she can confront Jodie about it herself.
Jodie very cannily has made Lily into her ally.
Well, luckily, if she hadn't, it'd been game over for her by this point. Yeah. Anyway, Jodie spots this woman from yesterday in the hospital when she and David and Shona are walking along.
She's
and she
like, oh my God.
Darts out of the way before she can have this conversation with a woman who thinks that who thinks that Jodie's the mum. But unfortunately, she bumps into her again at the hospital later, and the woman's like, "Oh, how's Harper doing?" And Jodie starts rattling off about how worried she is about her daughter, which Shona overhears. And I thought, for just a minute, I thought, this has got to be the end. This has got to be the moment where Shona goes, what on earth are you doing? But no, the story's not ready for that to happen yet.
I also really
Shona falls for a story, hook, line and sinker.
Yeah, but I also really liked Shona's reaction, because it would have been really tempting, because this is a soap, to have Shona lurk and listen and look confused and then not say anything for a week.
Yes.
But because this is Shona and she's very blunt... And she's the big sister, so she's probably used to bossing Jodie about and telling her what for. She just immediately goes up to her and says, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, Jodie. What did she say? Jodie just said that the woman's a bit of a Fruit Loop, and she assumed that Jodie was Harper's mum, and she didn't want to get into it, so she went along with it.
Yeah,
the old story. It. Shona totally buys it.
Because what the alternative is. Realising that she's a pathological liar, and there's not really enough evidence to base it off of that one.
No, I don't think that we've seen, or I don't think Shona has seen enough of Jodie to be completely, at all suspicious of her. I mean, there was the fact that she was secretly visiting their dad, which is a little bit sus. But
yes, I was going to say what's happened to the dad, because now he's got another grandchild.
What do you mean? There's not been anyone that's been born recently.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're right.
Not since we saw him.
Sorry, his grandchild is. You'd think that Jodie would go and say, Shona's baby's fine.
Yeah, I do wonder, actually, whether Doug knows that he's a granddad at this stage. Because
that's what I was getting at.
Jodie hadn't told him, and I can't remember whether the topic was brought up when Shona went to see him the other week. Not sure. Anyway, David and Shona start getting a little bit lovey-dovey later at the hospital, and they're all just very thrilled that everything's gone okay.
Happy
and they're all draping each other all over each other.
I just love it. This is probably the best couple on Corrie.
Oh, I think, I really...
as far as a real feeling...
They feel totally real and natural and suited to each other. Mega chemistry.
I really love George and Christina, but if you told me they were just really good mates, I'd also believe that too, because there's no, romantic kind of...
There's bits, but,
the vibe is really very strong friendship, because the actors are really good friends in real life. But Shona, I think that these two feel like... I know a lot of people will say Carla and Lisa,
of course,
and obviously that I can see why you would say that. But the reason I'm saying this about David and Shona is because they've got such a long history, and they've had so many different storylines, whereas Carla and Lisa haven't had as much chance. David
and Shona give me vibes of they literally do know what the other one is thinking, and they finish each other's sentences, and they make fun of each other, and they know just how far to push each other's buttons, and they've got all these little in jokes, all of this that comes with a long-term relationship.
Because Lisa's still finding things out. They're both still finding things out about each other. They're still in that stage of discovery about, I used to do this, or I used to have that, or this is my experience of life. Whereas I think David and Shona know. Although he didn't know she had a sister.
This is true. Although, I was going to say, unlike the viewers, David's probably known for many, many years that Shona's got a tattoo.
Probably.
We've just not seen it before until this storyline required it. It's like, hey, I've got one of these on my arm. It says Tina. He got that in Classic Corrie this week. He got his Tina tattoo.
Oh, yeah.
David. They didn't have the scene when Harper was born, because sometimes they'll have the scene where the dad takes their top off and has to hold the baby up against them, didn't they? So they didn't have that with David, because they probably lost his tattoo stamp.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
Jodie goes, also being born during a terrible...
Yes, that's probably something accident to do with it. Can't take her out the incubator. So anyway, the only other scene we had in this episode was back at home, because Jodie, as I say, gets a little bit sick of them being all over each other. So she returns, and Lily's like, why have you got Bernie's head in a box? And Jodie's like, oh, it's just a joke. You haven't shown anyone yet, have you? I just took the book because I was sticking up for you because of what happened with Brian. She kind of brushes over the fact pretty quickly about why she's got Bernie's head in a box. And she makes it fairly obvious, and I think Lily picks up on this, that it's a secret box and no way can anyone find out about it, because as soon as Bethany comes downstairs, she kind of secretes it away. Is she going to learn a lesson from this and return it to her bedroom? No, it's probably still going to live in the lounge. But Lily says to Jodie, look, this is mental. Why are you doing this? And Jodie says, well, I've always had your back, Lily. Now you got to have mine.
Yeah.
And Lily, fair play to her, is still fairly non-committal about this by the end of the episode, because she's got her head screwed on, and she knows that this is proper weird, what she's seen. And although she has grown closer to Jodie over the past month and a half, she's still a relatively new family member to her, and I don't think she 100% trusts her yet. And this will severely have knocked that growing relationship, I think.
What do you think the tactic will be? Do you think Jodie's going to try to blackmail Lily somehow? Do you think she'll frame her for the book, or say she'll frame her for the book?
I don't know.
Because Lily didn't rush to, to agree.
I think if I was Jodie at this point, I'd still be going on the charm offensive with Lily, because she's got her in the palm of her hand. And then if she says anything along the lines of, watch your back, I'm going to get you in trouble, I think she's lost quite an important bargaining chip there. No, I think that she needs to try and win Lily round.
Yeah.
And somehow make her see that everything's okay. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me now if Lily, are we going to have a scene with her at the cafe maybe with Bernie? Is she going to overhear something there? Is she and kind of have to wrestle with her conscience about whether she needs to say anything? Because Bernie, that story's gone quiet, hasn't it? The Mal storyline. But if Lily overhears Bernie talking about how creepy Mal was and how Mal broke into her house, and she's just there having her strawberry milkshake at Roy's, she's going to have a little bit of a side eye. And I think she probably wouldn't say anything. But yeah, I don't know. Jodie's got a lot of work ahead of her. But.
Do you think this might feed into Kit pinning it on Jodie? The attack on Mal? If he finds out about Jodie's weird obsession and these two things she's done,
he could
quite easily. But what has she got? I guess we don't know if she's got an alibi.
Jodie, yeah, I can't remember whether she was doing anything on the night that the attack happened. I mean, I suppose it was fairly late. They probably didn't have anything. I don't know whether Kit, he's on the case now. At what point can you just say, well, I guess we'll never find them? Is he going to need to pin it on someone? Because I totally could see that Kit would pin it on somebody. It's
always good to keep a few, on it for the books, for the documentaries, for the Netflix dramas, for all those things that everybody who watches Coronation Street loves, these true crime documentaries.
So how are you feeling in general about Jodie at the moment? Are you enjoying her mystery, or do you think it's been strung out a little bit?
I'm still enjoying it. I really am not quite sure what she's up to, and the dad thing is still interesting, and what else is in, what other things are these trinkets?
Yeah, I mean,
what do they represent? What else has she done?
I'm much more interested in the box side of Jodie than the Jodie, than the trying to take over Shona's life and jump into bed with David. That doesn't particularly interest me. And
it worries me.
It worries me a little bit.
Because I think that no one's safe on Coronation Street. I mean, look at what happened with Becky and Lisa.
Well, yeah, exactly. And, maybe even back in the day, Jim was a bit unfaithful. We still haven't found out that yet, have we? But,
what do you mean?
What?
It's a joke.
Oh, good. I thought you'd forgotten. But I don't need this to seriously rock David and Shona. So I just kind of want it to get out of the way. It's a bit like the Abby and Carl affair. Just rip off that plaster, get on with it. We know where it's going.
In bed.
And let's have David resist, please.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am super, super intrigued about this box. I think that's a really good mystery they got going on there, because I haven't got a clue. I have not got a clue what all that other stuff is. And I do see why she would have taken Brian's book, but I don't get why she's got Bernie's face. Really
what was that about?
I do not know.
How does being a pathological liar manifest in taking
a snipping, cutting of somebody's wedding photo?
What is she doing? Why does she care? Right, okay, let's move on.
Speaking of George and Christina, the morning suit storyline.
Yes, on Monday, Christina is getting another client on the phone, very excited, and George is worried because even though they're still getting business, they're being hammered with 1-star reviews online and their rating has plummeted overnight. He thinks they might all be Annie, trying to sabotage them.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, Christina comes into work and George is just being very depressive, sitting in the parlour with a towel over his head, listening to sad music. And she says, look, get yourself out of your funk. I've reported Annie for defamation. And so the policemen come in to knock on the door and come in. And she says, oh, here they are. They must be here to to sort out this, defamation case that I've just brought. But actually, no, they're there to take George down to the station about fraud. So later on we see him in the pub and he is miserable because he's been accused of fraud by abuse of position, which I've never heard of before. But Glenda and Christina, I think, are all there and they're supporting him going, we're going to fight it. You didn't do it, etc., etc.
The story kind of at this point twists on to becoming a bit more of the Theo and Todd story, doesn't it? But I've merged them together for ease of discussion's sake.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going into Todd and Theo. Because he works there and he's in some of these scenes.
Yeah. Exactly. Thursday, I just found that the George story, I don't know, it didn't feel like it moved particularly forward. It was just a bit of him being miserable and getting drunk, wasn't it? This week.
Okay. So we don't see Todd and Theo until Thursday.
No.
And this is when everybody writes on Twitter that they don't want to see the story anymore. But tough because it's happening. Because it's Theo's birthday tomorrow. And Coronation Street, have they slipped into their bad old ways?
Yes, they have. Because obviously Thursday... was it me on Twitter? Did I say on Twitter last weekend that why... Because Mary going to the Brits, that was it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mary said on Friday, I'm going to the Brits tomorrow. And I was like, oh, well, clearly she means Monday. Because on Friday, tomorrow means Monday. But now we've got Thursday, tomorrow means Monday. It's like, just say Monday. I don't get it. And between Friday and Monday's episode, they did acknowledge that there were days. There was a weekend, wasn't there? Because Mary, by Monday's episode, had been to the Brits.
Yeah.
And time had passed. It is possible. It just...
I didn't mean to open a can of worms here.
I just want to know why they do it. Why do they have to make out that every day follows the next? I've got nothing new to say about this, and I've said it a million times before. I'm going to move on, Gemma.
Yes.
Sorry.
So, it's Theo's birthday tomorrow, but assuming it's going to be on Monday, because I don't know how far in advance they knew they weren't going to have a Friday episode. They would have
100% have known. Yeah.
So, why make... Was Theo's birthday established in canon, and was it really important that he had to be celebrated on the day that it was supposed to be? I don't know. I can't
remember whether he was
Why did they have to say it was tomorrow? Anyway, when they knew there wasn't going to be an episode.
I mean, I suppose for the storyline purposes, there was a lot of Todd on Thursday's episode going, I need to get a present, their time is pressing, and if it had been, well, I've got 3 days, it probably would have not been so bad.
I guess so. They could have still done it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless we're not going to see, unless you're slandering them here, and we're actually not going to see.
So Monday's going to come around, and Theo's going to go, oh, I really love that birthday I had on Friday, cocker.
Yeah. So yeah, Theo's birthday tomorrow, and Todd's like, I haven't got you anything. Can I please have some more allowance? I haven't got enough money. And Theo's like, oh, how pathetic, and well, I'll give you... Oh,
you want me to give you some money for my own birthday present?
Yeah, he's such a dick.
I know. Go on then.
Yeah, okay.
Just enough little small digs to get Todd's feeling.
No matter what Todd does, it's wrong.
Yeah.
So he agrees to give him £200, but he reminds him that this also has to pay for his birthday meal. And he says, the only reason I'm doing this is because I'm helping you with your finances. And Todd says, can we have the joint account that you mentioned? And he's like, no, you need to make sure you can sort of hold your money. And Todd must have so much money in his bank account now. Unless do you think Theo might be stealing it? Because I'm not entirely sure that he went to see his mum. I think he's got another boyfriend somewhere.
That would be a nice little twist. That wouldn't surprise me. But then, I don't know. I think we might see a bit more of Theo's guilt if that was the case. And I know that he ended up in bed with that Pete that one time. But guilt really does define him as a character. And I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. I'm looking. Speaking of his birthday, though, I am looking forward to Monday's episode because if they, I'm a very horrible person that enjoys seeing the scenes of torment for Todd, and it wouldn't surprise me if there is something horrific that happens to poor Todd on.
Oh, the birthday's not going to go well
on
for
Theo's
Todd.
birthday. Is he going to end up with a birthday cake on his head?
Yeah, probably.
Or something.
So Theo Theo spots Billy's cufflinks on the side and says, "Oh, are you building a shrine to him now?" And Todd puts the box away reluctantly. Then we get George gets a call from his solicitor, and the police are dropping his case, which he's very excited about, and he gives Todd 10 quid to go and get something to eat later.
Oh, sorry, I wrote that down and it didn't really turn into anything.
Then George asks Todd, "Can you use social media to let everyone know that I've been exonerated?" And he's like, how is that going to sound good? Because if you didn't know that you were being accused of, saying, "Guess what, I'm not accused of fraud anymore," it's not a really great thing to talk about on social media.
Make a TikTok dance out of it, Gemma.
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to do now, isn't it?
Well, he says, "Why don't you tell that gossipy celebrant we know, and he'll spread the word." So George goes off, all happy as Larry, and Todd drops his phone and smashes the screen, and he misses a bunch of calls from Theo because his screen doesn't work.
Yeah, I think it was
panicking.
Didn't Theo phone him, and he already had his hands full of something or other, and that's how he ends up dropping his phone.
Only idiots break their phone screens.
It didn't even drop very far.
I know. George goes to the pub later.
Your screen protector,
and
Toppington.
Is so excited, trying to buy people drinks, because he's over the moon about his news. Todd goes home after 3 missed calls from Theo, and he's really panicking, and he can't find where Theo is. He looks in his money tin, and there's only coins in there. Then he finds the cufflinks and says, "I'm sorry, Billy," and sort of pockets them. Theo pops out and says, "Who are you talking to? I've been calling you. You ignoring me?" And Todd is not letting Theo know that he's broken his phone screen, because I think he just doesn't want to deal with all of the judgment and the moaning and calling him an idiot that Theo would come out with.
It would also be like, "Oh, great, now I'm going to have to pay for this."
Yeah, so
he's such a clumsy idiot. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if he finds out on Monday.
Yeah.
Like maybe he says, "Oh, you're going to take a photo of me blowing out my candles or something," because Todd's
going to use the money from the cufflinks to fix his screen.
Did he do that by the end of the episode?
I don't think he has done, but he will do.
Well, what did he get for them? £75, I think.
£70.
Is that enough?
No.
Maybe for an Android phone like Todd's.
Yeah, my phone is still broken from when we went on that charity walk in July.
It's a nice remembrance, isn't it?
Well, I cannot afford to fix it, so it's going to have to stay that way.
Well, I hope you're not going to be selling my cufflinks.
I don't think I'd get 70 quid for them, or I would be down.
You'd be down to bargain Anza by
now. George is pretty worse for wear. He's totally bladdered. Christina and Glenda have been summoned, and he gets maudlin.
Yeah, he suddenly has a bit of a change, because I did think he went there celebrating, but I don't know. But we didn't see him getting the news that things had gone pear-shaped, had we? He kind of reveals this to
Todd. He shows up later and gives Todd a letter because Annie is still taking him to court, and Todd's like, "Don't worry, I'll promise I'll work around the clock so you can concentrate on the court stuff." And then George is like, "No, there's no point. This business is down the drain. I've lost everything my dad worked for." Yeah, and then he apologises to his dad.
His photoshopped dad, yeah, with Archie in that picture. It was a bit tragic, but yeah, I found that Thursday's episode just was a bit round in circles for George. I'm gonna say, although I it's always a pleasure to see him and Christina, so I think that's probably what kept me going through this story this week. And to say, quite excited about what may be happening with Todd and Theo next week. Mama in the Slammer is next. Nice to see those back again. Again, we're still in pre-Christmas filming this week, aren't we? Because Farrell Hegarty disappears off to Australia for weeks over the festive period, so this is still quite a way back that this stuff was all filmed. And we just got to see a little scene with them on Monday where they're making bracelets together when big old mean Paula comes in, nicks a bracelet and then tips beads all over the floor before leaving because Lou threatens to smash her face in. But in Tuesday it turns out that it is Lou whose face has been smashed in. Debbie finds her in her bed, blood all over the place, looking pretty horrific, and she says, "Look, please Debbie, just don't tell the wardens." But Debbie by this point has already called them, and then when the warden comes along, Debbie says, "Oh, sorry, I just thought I was having a bit of a funny turn, but I'm okay now." And the woman's like, we're not here for your personal butler, love," or whatever she said. She should have made a bit of a hotel joke there, like, not room service, love. But it's all comes, there's a reason for it later. Lou gets a village?
Lou gets a whole village.
Visit. That's the word I'm looking for. Lou gets a visit from Sally and the Brody bunch later. So you got Brody, you got Shanice, you got Joni. They're all there. And this is the first time that they've had a scene since, July, August, whenever it was that Lou got sent down, isn't it? Because I thought that she had a scene with Sally saying, look, I don't want them to remember me like this. I don't want them to think of me as being a prison mum. Yeah. But
never visit me again.
Now clearly that Lou is back on the cobbles again for however long, I don't know. I guess she's happy to see her kids again.
Weird. Why would they bother visiting, Michael? Why would you want to see your children?
Who knows? Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, she puts these bruises and bloodied bits on her face down to walking into a door, but Brody is clearly not taken in by this. And even Sally says to Lou when she gets her on her own a little bit later, like, come on, he's not dumb. He knows that something's gonna happen here.
She's like, was this really rough yoga? Because, I started that.
Then you got on a separate table, you got Debbie and Carl having a chat together, haven't you? And she's saying, I'm doing fine, I made some pals. Carl straight dives in there with, need more money. Debbie, paid off my credit card debts, but I'm desperate. I need more. Come on, hand it over. And she's, poor Debbie. She's just like, oh yeah, I suppose I could get, what's it called? A direct debit. Sally, and the scene before, it looked like Sally had spotted something on Lou's table, hadn't it? Did anybody else notice this? But I can't quite figure out.
She was just seeing that Carl was visiting Debbie.
Yeah, I think maybe it was just that.
Me.
But she gets a big old ears waggling, does Sally, and she's heard that Carl has been asking her for money, and she comes over and says,
Carl buggers off at this point.
This is the bit where Carl doesn't accept Debbie's hug.
He wants to
this
hug
was the
him.
Tragedy of the week.
Yeah, this was
anything that could have happened to Harper pales in comparison to Debbie opening her arms up for a hug from Carl and him just swanning back, and Debbie's reaction of just like,
rejection.
Okay, then.
God, I want to hug her. Then.
I know that was horrible.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. So Sally comes over, and the first time I think she wants to talk to her when Carl's there, and Debbie sends her away. But she comes back later and says, "What's going on? Is Carl asking you for money? He's tricking you. What on earth are you doing?" And Debbie's like, "There's none of your business. Wouldn't you do the same for Rosie and Sophie?" And she starts getting really quite upset with Sally and says, "Look, you don't know what I'm going through. Stick your little beak out." And I think there was also a scene that I missed earlier where Sally's telling Debbie that Lou clearly got beaten up by somebody here, and the guards need to find that out. And Debbie's like, "No, you've not seen bad girls. We don't rat on each other here." Sally should know, having been behind bars herself. Yeah. But anyway, so Sally leaves the prison, suspicious of Carl and a little bit worried for Lou. So she gets on the blower to Ronnie, and then meets him in the pub later. And he says, she's like, "Carl is still pumping your wife for money. We need to do something about it." And Carl at this point chooses to swagger into the pub, and Ronnie pounces on him, and this is when all the Bailey boys kind of get in a line against him. And Ryan's there, and he has to hold Ronnie back, and then Ed squares up to him. I really, really loved Ed this week. They gave him some great material. Ben there, exactly.
Who did you like, sorry?
Ed. He didn't have lots to do.
Yeah.
And he never has anything to do, does he? But the few moments that Ed was in it this week, I really, really enjoyed him. I really, really thought he was great this week. But anyway, Ben tells Carl to sling his hook. Meanwhile, poor old Debbie's having another stroke, isn't she? A little mini TIA. Yeah. She's, again, stupid sound effects as she's looking in the mirror, and the picture goes all blurry, and it takes me out. It doesn't make me feel, this is shocking. If you remember when Ken had his stroke, and that literally came out of nowhere, nobody knew that Ken was going to have a stroke, and there was a storyline that Kate Oates had kept secret, and he's just there, and then he just collapses, and we're like, oh my gosh, Ken's having a stroke. And they didn't need any silly sound effects, they didn't need any stupid wibbly wobbly camera, they just had Bill Roche doing some pretty good collapsing and stroke acting. And this was the emotion of it for me was lessened by just going, come on, it's not. Corey's just going to.
They don't care what you think.
They do not care what I'm thinking about this. But poor old Debbie.
To me, it works, and I know that you don't like it, but it's now established And if they stopped doing it just wouldn't work. I think the thing about it, Michael, is that they've only got 22 minutes a day, and if you hear that music and you see the effect, you know something's happening. Whereas they had more time to establish what was going on with Ken, and you could work out. It's shorthand is what it is.
I just think it could have worked exactly the same way if she just collapsed. But I suppose it's also not as shocking for Debbie because she seems to be having them worryingly frequently at the moment. And this whole what the problem was at the end of the episode is she's banging on the door calling for the officer, but because of her crying wolf earlier, she's not believed. But
it's so sad.
It is sad, but then that turns into nothing.
No, I know. I was really worried about, you really need immediate medical attention if you have something like that happen to you.
But clearly she got it.
Like she did, yeah.
It was a cliffhanger, like, oh, is Debbie going to be found? Is it going to be too late? Is she going to be left alone in her cell for hours and then it makes things worse? No, all we find out on Wednesday is she was found, she went to hospital, and actually she's on her way back now. It was kind of nothing. And literally by the second scene of this story on Wednesday, she's, just back in her bed, happy as Larry.
She can't drive.
Huh?
She can't drive.
Can't drive for a little bit longer, can she? No, sadly not. In the prison Grand Prix. So Debbie tells Lou all about TIAs and
she doesn't really. She just says that they happen.
Yeah, but it was a nice little character moment for Lou, and I'm enjoying seeing their blossoming friendship because it could have gone a different way, and it could have been Lou was the thorn in Debbie's side, but it looks like they're setting themselves up or setting each other up for just a nice little prison bond.
Vera Hegarty is so good at playing Lou as well because she does it so authentically. Like Lou is so guarded and she's not like immediately sympathetic. She's like, what happened to you? And like the way she reacts to things, like, what the hell's that? Yeah. And then she finds out what it is and she's like, oh well, my nan had a stroke, so if you need anything. And then Debbie's like, no, and then she eventually, I can't remember what happens, but they have a little fight, don't they?
Yeah.
And I think they're both great. I love both of them.
Yeah, they're fab together.
And I did a survey, and apparently 99% of people love these scenes, so we want more of them, don't we? Yeah.
Was it a very scientific survey?
I used science.
The power of science, more of it.
I used maths to add all the answers up. That's how.
As I said, because Farrell goes off for quite a long Australian holiday, probably fairly soon after these scenes. I'm kind of a little bit worried now that we're not going to be seeing any of these for a month or so.
I'm not sure.
Because Wednesday was the last day that we got of this.
See, yeah, I mean, is it possible that Debbie gets a medical discharge and then we don't see Lou again? We can't talk too much about what happens extraneously. I'm surprised you brought up that she had a holiday because you're always so against spoilers, but I guess it's just we're just theorising here. But you would think that Debbie needs to be somewhat involved in whatever happens in April because Carl's going to be one of the possible victims.
Yeah.
And her being in prison doesn't really help that story. So to me, I wonder if Debbie gets out of prison.
I don't know. I would hope so.
TIA. But equally, this is such an interesting topic, and
the story could go ahead without Debbie.
It could do, but that makes me think that Carl's not going to leave.
Yeah, I think he's maybe not going to leave until she's out. You're right.
But it is really interesting because if she gets out because she's had a TIA, then what will Summer say? Because Summer was mad about it already. Yeah. And we love Debbie. She's a great character. She didn't commit the crime that she's in prison for, so it's easy to feel sympathy for her. But how sympathetic would you be if somebody murdered your dad and then got let out because they had a stroke?
Yeah.
You'd be like, no, you stay in there and suffer.
Have a stroke behind.
Yeah, have a stroke behind
locked
bars.
doors. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, eventually it will come out that what Carl did, wouldn't it? And because Summer's not going to be mad at
But
Debbie
then is
forever.
that going to affect? Debbie's going to be. I just don't think. I think Carl's safe. I don't think he's going to. I think his story continues after April.
It's almost Debbie, at the moment he seems to be the character that building up the biggest selection of characters who might bump him off.
Yeah.
But that could be, a bit of a red herring, couldn't it? Like, it's going to be Carl, but no, it's not. And equally, Ben's not going to kill him. They're not going to turn Ben into a murderer. They're not going to turn Ronnie into a murderer. They're certainly not going to turn Ed into a murderer. A lot of the people who want to kill Carl, I don't believe they're going to turn into murderers.
A bunch of pussies.
I just don't think they would want to have that on a character's
Here's my prediction. You ready?
Yeah.
I think that either Carl will die or he won't.
Wow.
That's what I've thought about. I thought about it, and that's what I think.
You know these things. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're going to see more of the Ben and Eva and Maggie stuff this month, aren't we? Because then the new cover stars for March on ITVX.
Yep.
So, there's
good luck.
Yeah, more to come there, but maybe that's going to be the Jim story, I suppose. Anyway, Sally gets on the phone to Lou later because she's been talking to Shanice, and then Shanice drops the phone, doesn't smash the screen, so she's more competent than Todd there. And Lou asks Sally...
Well, maybe who didn't break the screen?
Shanice.
Right.
Lou asks Sally for a little favour, and Sally turns up at Ronnie's flat and tells him about this TIA, and immediately he calls the prison, like, why on earth wasn't I informed about this? Because I think Debbie had told Lou, I don't want Ronnie knowing about this, I don't need him worrying for me, and that's what causes them to have the fallout at the end of the episode. She's like, Lou, you've told Sally to tell Ronnie about what happened with me, how dare you, it's nothing to do with me. You're a common little scruff bag with a psycho killer husband, back off. And then she huffs out.
Aww.
And this could be the time when we have a little bit of a break between those two characters for Farrell to not appear. I don't know.
Do you think that this is symptomatic, like this is part of her?
Yeah, I would say so. The quick-temperedness, you mean?
Yeah, because it's not very self-serving, is it?
No,
like,
but
if you were thinking about it logically, even if you're a bit annoyed, you would realise that she's the only ally you have and you need to keep her on your side.
Yeah. Does it make sense to you that Debbie doesn't want Ronnie to know about this?
Yes. Because there's nothing he can do about it. And
she doesn't want to worry him, but also she still wants to be punished herself. And maybe if she thinks, if Ronnie gets involved, he could see me... Or he could attempt to see me discharged. Know. But equally, she still is having an appeal, isn't she?
Yeah, I don't think she's worried. I don't think she's needs to be in prison. She didn't want to punish herself. She just wouldn't want Carl to be in trouble. And she thought that she did something wrong, but I think she's over that now.
I don't think so. I think that she's still... I mean, this is why when Sally speaks to Debbie and says, what on earth are you doing promising him money? She's like...
Yeah, that's different.
She doesn't come out and out say it, I don't think.
For no reason.
Yeah. I liked the fact that it was Sally that had those interactions with Debbie because they are somewhat family, aren't
I know,
they?
I forgot that. I was like, hey, why does she care? And then I was like, well, yeah, they were sister-in-laws at one point.
Yeah, never on screen together, sister-in-laws, I hasten to add, but no. Yeah, we are led to believe that they've known each other pretty well.
They've known each other for decades.
During the 90s and early thousands. We just didn't get to see any of it on screen. Aww. But yeah, Sally was used, again, as usual, sparingly, but very, very well this week. Whether it was in the Carla storyline or this storyline... Couldn't fault a Sally scene here.
Strategically deployed.
Strategic Sal, exactly. Gemma, the Jim story.
Last
one? Almost as good as. This hasn't even been a long street talk, particularly.
No, I know. Right, we've just talked about everything, haven't we? We've talked about life, death, babies.
Jim is dead.
We've hit all of the words you can't say on YouTube. So hope you're enjoying it. So this is all. Cassie, Tim, Steve, etc. On Monday, Cassie and Tim agreed that they're going to do this proposal, and Tim takes Steve to the Victoria Gardens, and Cassie's all glammed up, and she's got this big, beautiful "marry me" or something like sign that Mary's helped her made out of flowers. It's very romantic, but just as he's about to get there, he gets a phone call from Jim's partner, who says he's dead. So he is.
What's your thoughts, Gemma? What's your reaction to this? Should they have killed off Jim McDonald? Are they starting to do this a little bit too much now with Les Battersby, with Jackie Dobbs?
They're doing this too much. I don't know why. I mean, you can say many things about why they might have chosen to close the door on Jim McDonald and not have Charlie Lawson play him ever again.
I mean, he'd burnt his bridges, hadn't he?
I think it's very clear that he didn't really care what they thought about what he said.
No, and he has come out and said, you know, I thought that last story they had for me was terrible.
I still really think, and it would be a massive I think it would be a huge mistake to not have him come back if Ben is indeed his son. And maybe this is really super controversial of me, and probably people are going to get mad at me, but I just don't think that you can take responsibility for everybody in your show and their political opinions and make sure that everyone is on the same page about everything all the time and doesn't say anything bad on social media. Like, we all know that he and also Daniel Brocklebank were very outspoken and not particularly politically correct about lots of things on social media.
But I don't think it's necessarily about Charlie's political persuasions or news broadcaster of choice. It's more the it's more that he has been out and right critical of Coronation Street. He had that article in the paper when his book came out saying, "Oh, Corrie's not what it used to be."
But that's what Helen Flanagan said in her autobiography. And do you think she'll never come back because of that reason?
Did she say that Corrie has not been as good?
No, but she criticised like the sexualisation of her character when she was young.
You're right. But that's not exactly the same as saying Corrie now isn't what it used to be.
I think it's worse. I think because she's challenging their lack of safeguarding, which is a much worse thing.
I suppose so.
Much more serious.
Yeah. But I don't think that many of us really thought that we would see Jim again.
No, but what I'm going to say
shame.
is if it really is true that he's Ben's dad, why killing him off? Because, oh man, think of all the scenes we could have had. Or does it?
I think the story would work fine without him. I would have had Jim back on the show in a heartbeat. And yes, the last story wasn't great, but I don't think it out and out ruined him. I think it would have been a real struggle for him to become likeable again. And then they didn't want him to be likeable. Maybe they would have had him as a full-on Terry Duckworth villain figure, because Terry wasn't always a wrong one. He got there pretty quickly, but he wasn't always one.
I guess they need to kill him off. If they just didn't want to have him in the show, they had to make him dead, because it wouldn't have made sense.
All that does is stop people saying, "So are you going to go back? When are you going back then?" And in a way, I kind of like that we've got some closure on him, because there's so many characters that go off and you think, oh, I wonder if they're alive. Oh, they're probably dead by now, aren't they? And we just don't hear. But at least he's got some kind of closure, and I'm assuming he'll get some sort of funeral, and there's some kind of story related to this. Because there was for Les somewhat, wasn't there? We had Leanne getting the money, which is now invested in Speed Dial. It feels sad, and sometimes you like to picture these past characters living on a little island in the Med somewhere, happily away from Coronation Street, living it up. But actually, in real life, people's parents do die, and sometimes you just need to mention it. A bit like with Bill, when they killed him off as well.
Do you not think it's like super sinister to like kill people off because the actors say something that you don't like?
But Corrie would never say that, would they?
No, I know. I'm not saying that's what they're doing. It's what you said that they're doing. I said that
I didn't think that we would see Jim again after what he said. I didn't necessarily think that that's why they've killed him off. It's not oh yeah, you don't like Corrie these days? Well, haha, we're going to kill you off with and we're going to make it really horrible how we do it as well. This isn't, it's like Chef, the South Park episode where they bump him off, and they certainly made quite a hash job of, well, not a hash job of the episode. It was a great episode, but they left it in they left no question in anybody's mind that they were cutting all ties with Isaac Hayes there.
And then it came out that he was
that he'd been manipulated all along, exactly.
Abused. So that made them look dumb, didn't it?
But they haven't done that, and I trust that there can be a, if it's a launch pad for a story, okay, and if they're going to go down the route, which they are, aren't they, of Jim being Ben's dad, then yes, the retcon police aren't going to like it, and I am a fully paid up member of that constabulary, actually. But actually it could lead to some really kind of touching character reflective scenes. Even, Simon Gregson, who can sometimes be a bit of a clown in his performance, I thought that he had some good material. He had some good scenes this week.
You don't mean that kind of pejoratively. You mean that like in a like entertainment kind of way.
Well, he can be a bit of a goofball, can Steve? Yeah, he's turned into that character.
People use the word clown in a very negative way these days. It's not exactly what you meant.
Yeah, no. I don't mean that. But I think if it means we get some much overdue serious scenes for Steve, but then it's one of these short-term gains, isn't it? That people might say, oh yeah, we might get some good scenes, but was it really worth it? Same with killing off Debbie with her dementia. Yeah, we get a good story with it for a year. We get some wonderful scenes with Sue Devaney, but is it really worth it? I don't know. I'd say in the case of Jim, it probably is, because he was never going to come back.
You say it about anything. You say it about any character that ever dies.
Yeah, exactly. So I do mourn the loss of Jim. So I do. But, I guess it was time to say cheerio now to him, and we'll see where the story takes us.
Yeah. I'm not saying that Coronation Street fired him because of anything in particular, or
he didn't fire him, did they?
He didn't get fired. I just really hate this idea that everyone is responsible for what everyone else thinks and says. And that if somebody says something bad, then you can never associate with them again. I think it's really silly.
I do like how Charlie Lawson put a video on Twitter.
Yes,
on Wednesday, because he watched the episode.
Very dignified and classy comments, I thought.
Yeah, I thought so on the whole, and I would imagine
I can't remember what he said. I was surprised. I thought he would be mad.
Yeah.
He knew about this ages ago.
Yeah, he's known about this since September, I think he said. Because this came out in the papers, as I say, month and a half, 2 months ago, and he said, yep, it's happening, I'm being killed off. But I did really, really appreciate how he ended the video by saying cheerio.
Yeah.
That was a brilliant touch. And I wouldn't surprise me if they show his funeral, whether he's going to watch that as well. Because you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's been a massive part of the show.
He is a proper iconic character.
Yeah.
I love Jim McDonald, and even though the last story was a little bit iffy, I'm still going to say that my lasting memories of this character, this real legacy character, what a class actor, what a powerhouse of a character, and I don't usually like these alpha male characters, do I? Like the Owen Armstrongs.
Yeah, I was just thinking about
I don't like those kind of characters, but Charlie was so good as him in the 90s. And he's got his catchphrases. He's which made him a slight caricature, but people are still buying greeting cards with Jim McDonald's arm that just say "so it is" on the end. It's sad that he's gone, but my memories of Jim haven't been tainted enough by the last story. So I'll be raising my glass of J2O to him on next week or whenever the funeral's going to be. And I'm looking forward to seeing where the story takes us.
Yeah,
that's my reaction to it.
Yeah, I mean, clearly Charlie Lawson has got lots of fond memories of working on Corian, playing his character, and there's probably very mixed emotions.
I think he's really proud of having played a character as important and well loved and well remembered as Jim. You don't get many people that have. He
left a cultural impact.
Yes, he did. That's a really good way of putting it.
Yes. Okay, so he's dead.
Yes.
So he's dead. So they all go to the pub. Maggie pours them a whiskey.
I'm so sad that we'll never get to hear some of those catchphrases again. I really won't. Again, I do not know whether they're going to have a funeral. Again, I'm assuming they are.
I don't think they will.
Maggie doesn't really show any reaction to him being dead. She's not like, Jim, do you mean Ben's secret father? So I'm wondering, my theory, again, you can probably look at the previews for next week and find out if I'm true or not, because I haven't read them. My theory is that during the funeral, that's when she's going to go, she's going to have a little moment. Yeah.
Guess what, Ben? You've got 2 dead dads now.
I hope, when we had Les's will reading, do you remember they're all in Adam's office, and the will started off with, hey! Because that was what Les used to say, and I'm hoping that they'll drop in a few Jimisms into the episode, if indeed there is going to be an episode.
Right.
So I mean, this has been really sidetracked, but that's fine.
Yeah, Maggie's got complete poker face here because she obviously knows who this man is that's died.
Theoretically,
If
yes.
she is indeed, if she did indeed have his baby. So Steve is very upset and trying to cope with the fact that he never went to go and see his dad. And I feel the same way.
So bad for him.
Because we never went to go see Charlie Lawson, did we?
We never did.
We didn't get to go visit with him. And so I agree with Steve.
I did get an interview with him that one time, Gemma, so it's all right.
Amy and Tracy come and join him and they're all very sympathetic. And but Tracy does notice that Cassie is all done up and she wonders why. And her interest is piqued even further when she notices Cassie slip the ring, this box. She slipped something into Mary's pocket. So she like sneaks up to and finds it and asks what's going on and realises that she was going to propose, and Mary and Tim tell her to shut up and not say anything.
Yeah, they don't risk spoiling it for Cassie, whereas there's the moment that she can still propose again. She doesn't want to. They don't give the game away to Steve.
Because Cassie doesn't know that Tracy knows, does she? Just Mary and Tim know.
She finds out, not on Wednesday at least.
No, this is still Monday. At this moment, only Mary, Tim and Tracy know that Tracy's got the ring, that found the ring. And knows, yeah. So Steve is telling Ben and Tim what happened. It was pneumonia and he's getting a bit drunk. And so Ben tries to get him to leave. And then this is when they make a joke about the Dead Dad Society. And Steve is not happy about this, doesn't think it's funny. And then moans about all the things that Jim did wrong. He's really gutted. He never got to say goodbye. It must be really hard to not have closure too with this really polarized, it wasn't like he's a really great dad.
No, you kind of get the impression, because he's been so absent for the last 15 years or so ago, yet they must have maybe had some contact. He's not been a great dad. We've got our good memories of Jim from when... was he a great dad in the 90s? I don't remember. He was just a really strong character. But, Steve has been massively, massively let down by him.
The way Steve is talking and acting, it's almost as if the last time Jim McDonald was in Coronation Street, it was the last time he saw him.
But I think it was. I think it was.
Yeah, I know. But it's just interesting because sometimes you can't assume that's true.
Mm.
But in this case, I think that he probably maybe spoke to him a little bit, but there's still these wounds that haven't been healed, and he could have had a bit of closure if he'd gone to see him, probably, and he probably would feel a bit better, even if he told him to go to hell or whatever. Mm. At least he would have known.
I wonder, and I don't think they will, but I wonder whether they'll take the opportunity for Steve and Carl to have any scenes. Carl having very recently been in exactly the same position with his mum.
No, boring.
Well, not exactly the same.
It's got nothing to do.
I suppose Carl didn't reject
similar at all.
His mum. Oh, right.
Not similar at all. Waste of time.
Slightly similar.
On Tuesday, Steve comes to the pub to tell Ben he was sorry, and Ben's like, "Don't worry about it."
That was good. I loved that. Steve was he wasn't vile to Ben, was he? But he was very angry. And Ben is just like, honestly, mate, Ben's like, it is fine.
Dead dad jokes, not the same day your dad dies. Right, noted. Remember that next time. So Cassie is, they're all back in the pub, and Cassie's like, don't ask me about my outfit, Ben, because I don't want to bring it up. I'm just kind of testing out. I might send it back. Tracy's listening in, and she knows what's going on. Mm-hmm. Then Amy texting Ollie. Later,
that's back in the house, isn't it? There's a reminder.
Then we get this weird scene with Tracy and Steve in the kitchen, and Tracy comes up to him and tells him that Cassie was going to propose to him, and then she gives him a hug. And then Steve is like super confused, and so is everyone else.
Yeah, he lets Tracy hug him, but I was just a bit blindsided by this.
What's she up to? Because this is Tracy we're talking about here. This is like evil scheming Tracy. She's not told Steve this for any beneficial reason for him.
No.
Or has she?
I don't know. Because, like, she doesn't like Steve and Cassie together.
No.
She doesn't, is she still holding a torch for Steve? Maybe. So by telling Steve that Cassie was going to propose, is that going to make Steve run a mile? Is she kind of taking a massive risk here?
I think she might be hoping that Steve is going to get annoyed that Cassie has been lying to him. Because I think Steve might test out to see whether she's going to be upfront about what she was up to. And if she does lie, then he might be so fragile emotionally that he just gets annoyed and rejects her.
Yeah, I don't know.
That can be... What else is her plan? Like, Tracy's not saying this so that that Cassie and Steve will have a nice, successful proposal. No. Is she?
I mean, is she kind of hoping that Steve is going to ask Cassie about it and Cassie go, Tracy's ruined it now. Oh, you probably think it's a terrible idea. Or forget I ever said it. And Steve goes, no, I think it's a great idea. And Cassie's like, no, it's been ruined now. Don't worry about it.
Don't bother.
Maybe, but that would be a big risk for Tracy.
It's not obvious what
it's really not obvious what which makes it all the more interesting, I suppose.
Yeah.
Just a bit, the little bit of a shame that we didn't have any of that later on in the week.
No.
It was kind of, halted after that episode. But assuming it will be back next week. And speaking of stories, that didn't get particularly far, the Mal story, still in hospital this week. Kit's still in Sarah's bad books at the beginning of Monday's episode for his involvement in Mel's hospitalisation. But before they can have a proper full-on argument, Brody invites himself in and gets a slice of Sarah's avocado on toast or something, doesn't he?
With a poached egg on top.
Yes,
that
indeed.
Kit made.
But Brody, it transpires, had been sent there by Bernie to go and find out, what's going on with Kit and Sarah and then etc. And then Kit's in the cafe with Bernie later, and she says, "Look, was it you that put Mal in hospital?" And he's like, "No, of course not." But she realises pretty soon that he's lying, and so he comes clean and confesses, "Yeah, it was me." And then she says, "Me and Dev are going to Tenerife for a little bit because the storyline needs a bit of a break, basically."
Yeah.
So no further at all with that. But it does feel like maybe Jane Hazelgrove and Jimmy Harkishin, I was going to say mystery there.
I thought you were.
Are in need a little bit of a break because they've been quite full on recently. So I guess that story's just going to be put to bed for a little while, I suppose. Which is a shame because I'm very interested in Mal's character and I hope that he's going to make a full recovery so we get to see him lurk and menace another day. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Right, that's it.
That's it for this week's Coronation Street. And I'm considering there were 4 episodes. Maybe we did go on for a little bit too long. But I guess there was just lots to talk about.
There were lots of things to talk about. So, Michael, what do you give this week out of 5?
Like I said, I started off really quite positive about it. But it was a bit of a surprise positive that I liked the baby drama. There was nothing inherently wrong with Wednesday and Thursdays. Apart from Thursdays was just a little bit tready watery.
It's difficult to know if to give it a 3.5 or a 4.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going. That's what I always end up going to. I'm going to give it 4 pies in the post, I think, out of 5. I'm going to say a 4 this week. Cheese and onion pies directly into Dr. Harper's mouth hole. Character of the week for me. There were some really, really strong performances. I mean, I could go with David. I could go Shona. I really enjoyed Carla this week, just with her and the baby. Debbie's always a good... Lou, this was a proper week of decent characters that I cared a lot about and what was going on with them. Christina, George, Steve was great this week. Ben, I love him. I think I'm gonna go Carla this week.
Oh,
I think I am. I think she's going to be my character of the week, just because I loved seeing the range of emotions and her developing feelings towards this little bundle of joy that appeared on their doorstep.
Aww.
I'm going to go for her. But honestly, could have been so many. Sally, good week.
I'm going to give this week 4. I told you to write something down and you didn't, did you?
I did. I wrote down everything you told me.
I can't remember. It was a score I was going to give it and I can't remember what it is.
Whippets and a flat cap you can score it out of.
Whippets in a flat white.
What?
That's Manchester for you. I'm going to give it 4 of those. And I'm going to give the character of the week to Connie. She's so cute. Yes! I'm sorry,
I can't believe it.
Yeah, she was very cute. I was very pleasantly surprised, like I said. I mean, Carla definitely is also a very good candidate.
Oh, well, thank you.
But I didn't want to copy you.
That's right. You can if
I
you
already
want to.
thought of Connie.
If you want. Anyway, that is it for this week's Street Talk. We'll be back next week for more of that.